Hey everyone, I know it's been a little while. I've been taking care of business every day. Seriously though, like it's been just one thing after another. But made it through power outages and the holidays and time to hang out. And that's what I'm doing today is I'm hanging out. Water's coming on for auto water change. Lights just flipped on over there. And so I want to set the tone because I get a lot of feedback from this is too fish related, or not, no one ever says too fish related. Let me back that off. Too business related, not fish related enough. The sound's different, all of that, and into like, this is just a hangout because I don't have time to perfect everything at the moment. So there we go. Someone did say that their power is going to go out in about 5 minutes. I will say I'm working on a video. So there's two videos. One, when the power was actually out, I filmed all that and kind of documented that experience, and it might just be a total pile of a video. And if it is, we'll just release it as members because it sucks. If it's passable, it'll come out to everybody. But the thing that was kind of serendipitous, if you will, is probably 3-4 weeks ago, a company emailed me, and it just looked like spam, and I was like, I was going ready to close it. And they were like, I love your fish room. And I was like, wait, that's just not normal spam. So I back off. Because normally it would be real cryptic and be like, we love what Aquariumcoop does. But instead it was more specific. And so then I emailed back and I was like, hey, will your product work in my fish room? I want to use it for X, Y, and Z. And they actually got back and were like, yes, it will. And so I've been testing still got like sleepy dust in my eyes. I've been testing a battery backup for larger linear air piston pumps. Now, it's expensive. Let's get that right out of the way there. It's like a $700 or $800 battery. So know that 90% of you just checked out of that. But the 10% that do have a fish room and are worried about that, so far it's been running, I haven't checked it today, but so far it's been running my air pump since Monday at 1 when Jimmy was over here filming with me. And so, now it's Thursday at noon, and basically it had 5 bars of power, and each day it was going down by 1 bar, and that's running a linear air piston pump. Now, I shouldn't say obviously, but linear air piston pumps are highly efficient, so it only uses I want to say 46 watts of energy, and so it's going to last a long time on this battery. That's really good for me. What that does is, we're going to put one in the store, we're going to put one in the warehouse, we're going to put one in my place, right? And it allows me 5 days of power being out where the air will still go. That's just check that off the list. Don't even worry about that. So now all I got to worry about is heat. But I'm still finalizing some, testing and stuff like that before I tell you guys hey, go buy, the box isn't even here anymore, but XYZ brand, let me try and reach out to them and see if I can get you guys a discount. I don't know if I can. I don't even know if anyone will even buy one, but the one thing I really wanted to do, because a lot of them won't do this, was while it's plugged in and charging, also have it run stuff. So that way it seamlessly switches, right? So you're just, out at, you could be out of town, but you're away from home, power goes out, air's still on, boom. That's the perfect scenario. And I would love to be telling you about our air pump that does that, but it got pushed back 2 more times landing at the docks, I guess. So we're at this point, I'm hoping it's before Christmas. So yeah. Scott says, because of Corey, I now have a basement full of guppies. Well, that's a good time. I've definitely I got some new fish shipped in, some Cyprichromis, some Lake Tanganyika and cichlids from Fish Tank Barn. So even though that kind of got gobbled up or jumbled up in the mail we paid for some express shipping. We shipped it on a Monday, it didn't arrive by end of day Wednesday, sat around Thursday because of Thanksgiving, didn't arrive till the end of day Friday. Opposite. The funny part was, so I shipped him heat packs from our warehouse so that he could ship to us. it arrived crazy fast, like 2 days, because we fast track everything we can, so it arrives in 2 days. He then pays for a much higher, you know, a much higher. What am I trying to say? I'm reading Candy's thing, the battery backup thing. A much higher level of service, and it takes 3 days longer. So that's always kind of unfortunate when that happens in, you know, in the world. So, yeah, Candy was linking the Anker battery backup for like the USB Nano air pumps, which I did have some on hand. I never ended up hooking them up, but they will work for you in a pinch. But if you have a whole fish room, that's been one of the things that I've been wondering for a long time. And this battery also came with some solar panels. So in theory, if you had a lot of sun, which, you know, we don't during the winter, but you could run your air off your fish room with no electricity. And that's something I want to explore, but not something practical. Does that make sense? I mean, I do a lot of that in my hobby where it's purely for fun for me, and not so much like, well, that's saving money, because it's not really going to save money. I mean, it would if it worked really well, but investing in these types of products where it's like I want to have a bunch of fun, knowing that, yeah, it's probably a different way if I want to, you know, actually be smart with my money. So yeah, the big thing I'm talking about, this battery is like this big. It's like bigger than, well, a little bit bigger than a car battery. It's not just for like one little air pump. This runs my main air pump in the fish room, so it's a different product altogether. Yeah, so DJ Steen always wanted to know if I prefer Paper Magic or Arena when I play. I much prefer in-person Magic the Gathering. I find it to be much more fun. I enjoy the social aspect. I feel I have a skill at reading my opponent and things like that. And you know, I've never really fully embraced online Magic the Gathering, and I struggle to finish a match in 50 minutes, where in person I have no problem at all. And I generally like to play very slow controlling decks. I was reading, I think, more of a Jackery from Jimmy, which take time, and I never have a problem in person, and I do online, so I don't enjoy that. Has anyone put a pre-filter on the output side of a power head? So you have the filter on the in and out. Would it filter the same? It does increase your filtration, but it reduces flow. And the only time I've ever done it is to actually intentionally reduce flow by like a beta or something like that. Like our little mini intakes are good for an output if you can make a little adapter so it doesn't want to push off, right? Because you've got water going. The other thing to know is you are going to collect some gunk there, and if you go way too long without servicing, it can really stifle the flow on that, and you know, you just wouldn't want it to shut off, basically. All right. Wait. For a stacked sponge filter, should an air stone be at the top, closest to the uplift tube, or the bottom? So if we're talking about maximizing flow in a perfect world, which is not the easiest thing to do, the lower the air stone goes, the higher the lift would be. The problem is also the more directions air could go, and so it doesn't always rise uniformly. That's why a lot of sponge filters, you'll see that like the air goes down through a tube, but then it like follows the tube back up and kind of glugs out. That's because it forms one bubble kind of around the intake tube and comes out. That's actually less efficient than being higher but finer bubbles. So you're kind of playing a game, and you know, you can go read water dynamic, well, it's water flow dynamic studies, and basically there's so much to size of pipe, restriction of putting anything in that pipe, bubble size, bubble speed, and if it was to combine bubbles. All of those factors matter to, am I getting more lift? And kind of like in the video that I did about sponge filters, you got to ask yourself, do you even want that massive flow? Because massive flow is not always the end all be all goal. So yeah, but yes, technically if you're optimizing the flow at the very bottom, you could get the maximum lift if everything stayed in line the way you want it. That being said, our power heads that we put out fit on our sponge filters, and that is in my opinion, a much better way. So kind of the way I work in my company is I'll see an employee doing something like this or someone asking about it, and I go like, I have preferences obviously, and if you're going to start stacking sponge filters, you need a lot more flow to really get the benefits out of it. And so that's where a power head comes in. The flow is going to be way higher on a power head than just an air stone. Now you still need air in an aquarium, but I would either split them up and go with two, just separate with each of their own air stone, or if you're going to stack them up, go with a power head. And that's just what I believe to be the best use case for those. Now, people use stuff differently than the way I use it all the time, and that's fine. I just recommend what I know and like and how to use it. Generator might be cheaper in the long run for power. Maybe. I'm big on ease of use. So the fact that it automatically does it. So if the power goes out and I have to run generators at the store, my house, the warehouse, right? That's a lot to maintain, a lot of gas, a lot of maintenance and all of that, whereas a battery backup just works. And so I also like the fact that the battery backup could be used on other things. You could go, oh, I'm going to disconnect that, or I'm going to go plug my phone into it. And you can do that with a generator too, but not everyone's a generator person. Like me, when I was at a rental, it was years before I had a generator because I was just a renter, right? And I had a very small fish room. And I also like it in addition too. I'm a person that doesn't like to sleep with the generator running, not from noise, but just from, I'm always like, well, what if something goes wrong? And you can still have the air running with a battery backup even while you sleep. So I'm not sure it saves money either. I find that I ended up, not wasting, but I end up with a lot of gas that either didn't get stabilized or is just getting old, and I'm not sure I want to put it into my cars. And so, and for me, like I typically have at least 25 gallons of gas for the generators. That's not nothing. Well, a battery backup is just, I don't know, it just seems so easy. Set it, forget it, walk away, worry about the next disaster. I'm confused with ick versus stress ick as described in your blog post. Why doesn't stress ick respond the same way as regular ick to meds? Isn't it the same thing? No, Mary Beth, it's not the same at all. The best way I can describe it, and this is obviously far from scientific, but hopefully I use analogies to make people understand better. So ick itself is an actual disease, right? So we're gonna pretend ick is chicken pox for humans, right? And then stress ick, we're gonna call that you've got a pimple on your face or something, kind of like I have one like right here, right? And so I think when you analyze it that way, you go, oh, well, I get that. If I had some medicine or something to put on a pimple, that wouldn't necessarily treat chicken pox, right? And that's kind of the way it goes for ick and stress ick. So ick itself is an actual parasite, right? Where stress ick is more of symptoms from stress and maybe injuries and other things that end up being really, most of the time, it's cysts in fins or on the fish's lip from an injury, and it's much more sparse. So chicken pox, I might be covered head to toe, and let's say pimples is 2 or 3 from stress. That's the best comparison I can give, and I just thought of that. Probably would have made that blog article way easier to understand, and maybe we'll, if people love that explanation, maybe we'll revise that someday. But it's hard to explain things, especially medical stuff, when you haven't seen it and experienced it. 'Cause it's like if you work at my store, you'll see it enough and you'll totally get it. But if you've never experienced it, you don't even know what you're looking for. So it's really hard to go look for the thing you've never seen before. Would a medium and small filter be enough for a 29-gallon pea puffer? Yes. Yep. In my opinion, any size filter works for almost any size aquarium, barring the biggest extremes possible you could find. You know, you could say like, Corey, would your nano sponge filter that 800-gallon? It might not. However, would the large one do that 800-gallon? I actually do believe it would, because the bacteria would grow on every surface in there. You'd have live plants. I bet you it would actually handle it. That being said, we default into what's easier. Big canister filter is going to be easier. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to, you know. It's kind of like I prefer to have a full gas tank than going, well, I know I have a trip that's 95 miles. My car says it'll do 100 miles. No need to stop and get gas. For me, I just go, let me grab gas now and give myself, 400 miles of range or whatever my car gets. And then I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to have to get gas after the fact anyway. And that's how I kind of look at the filtration of like, well, I could clean that sponge filter every 3 days and it would technically handle that tank. Or I go with a bigger filter, I'm a little bit lazy, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that's kind of how I fill my gas or fill my car. Store expansion has been a train wreck. It's a complete rewiring of the entire place, so that's been a little bit much. The big heater at the shop also went out, so we had to replace that. There's been I don't want to say, they're not all disasters, but there's been one thing after another of like, oh, well, let's work on that today. Oh, let's work on that today. Oh, I guess we better do that too. Just a lot of little maintenance, not little, it's kind of a big thing. We have to get an electrician involved and all that, but a lot of maintenance stuff going on, and stuff where you'd like, our take manufacturers for the expansion side, there's being delayed because they had a case of COVID and shut down, and I emailed them again today going, hey, what are we looking like? And they say they're packing it up and shipping tomorrow, which they've said that 3 or 4 times now. So hopefully this is the week they'll actually start shipping. And that's only like, 1/4 or 1/5 of the order. So, just stuff like that. Whoa, just stuff like that where, delays on everything. I'm using a Kasa timer for my Christmas tree lights. Nice. There's actually, I tested it, and you guys probably won't even notice. I don't have it in here. The Kasa timers that we've been selling for a long time are actually changing. They work the exact same. I couldn't find any differences. They say there's no difference. The only difference, supposedly, is the housing's getting a little bit more sleek. But I tested it all because I've heard plenty of times nothing's changing, and stuff does change. So if you get one and you hold it next to one maybe you've already bought, you're going, hey, this is different. As far as I know, it works the exact same in the app, and everything's the same. And I couldn't find any difference because I do love to go to war over that of like, how dare you? You've made this different. What are we going to do about this? And it was the same. So, all right. Adam made 7 months. All right. I have this weird bug that's been in my studio for like days, and he's been up in the lights, and I didn't want to get a ladder to get him, and now he's right in front of me. Weird bug. Thank you for all you do. My sons and I really enjoy and have learned so much. Well, thank you. Oh, by the way, I've got all kinds of announcements. That was not the whole reason, but we will be at Aquashella Orlando. I believe that's in February. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's February. Yeah, we're gonna have a booth. Extreme will be there. They'll have a booth next to ours. I'm actually trying to design a whole new booth. We're going to see if we can do better than what we've done in the past. Don't know what the event is after the fact. So that we're trying to decide right now, do we rent a room and kind of do a pizza gathering? Do we just go out to dinner? What are we going to do for the members, basically? We're also seeing if we can get you guys a discount if you're going to go. So, buy tickets early and often, and if there's any place to put Aquarium Co-op is Bring Me There, that would help. because it helps our bargaining power when we're like, hey, we want a room to do an event with people. If they know a bunch of people are coming, they go, yeah, we'll get you a room. But if they're like, well, who knows if you even brought anybody, right? So if you if I don't even know if the questionnaire or anything has how'd you hear about us, but if you do and you are going, we'll be there. We're flying in like Friday night, leaving Sunday night. I have to give a talk. They forced me. I really didn't want to give a talk, and so you guys will know at least that I really am adamant about YouTubers not giving talks and taking up a time slot where we could get a professional in to talk, because in my opinion, I can make a video any day and express my opinion, and there's a lot of people that can't. And if it was like, well, but we want to see you speak and talk to you, I think at the booth is a better way to do that than me in front of a stage and you 80 feet away. So that's why I really fought against it, and they basically said like, well, we don't want you unless you're going to speak, because they want to be able to put me on like the flyer, you know, like, oh, whatever. And so I agreed to it. I really didn't want to do it, because what happens is invariably there is people that don't get to see me at all because they don't know I'm in that room and they were only there for an hour and a half. And so, but yeah, show up if you want. It's in Orlando, which I realized we were just in kind of Florida, just happened to work out that way. As we know more events that we will attend, basically once we purchase tickets, we'll let you know. So far, we've only purchased tickets for that event, and talking about other stuff and figuring it out. You know, a lot of people go, "What about the ACA event where it's like 5 events in one?" We haven't bought tickets yet. Doesn't mean we're not going. We just haven't bought tickets yet. I don't want anyone requesting time off and buying tickets, and then for some reason there's a reason we can't go, and then people going, "Oh my gosh, I planned my family vacation around you, and you've ruined the world." I hate ruining the world for people. Have I heard of anyone having success with Greg Sage's Odessa barbs in the Northwest? I don't. I mean, I know some people have got some, but I used to be really in tune in the store, right? If I was in the store, I'd know what people were breeding and how they were going. But now I don't, especially with COVID, I don't hang out with people enough to know, like, oh, you got some of those? How's it going? So I don't know anyone in the Northwest that specifically like has them for you. My crypts started growing good for weeks, but then they deteriorated, roots and all, in my betta tank. I fertilize root tabs often. Any advice? I would look into water parameter shifting, whether it's heat or not heat, right? It could cool down, like a fluctuation there. I'd look at pH changes. In general, crypts do that big melt back when there is an environmental change. Or not food, but you've covered the food part. So I would look at those, because that's the only thing it really could be. I mean, I guess technically you could have put like Colombian ram's horn snails in there and just ate it, but those are illegal and hard to get a hold of, so I doubt it. There it is. See, there it is. Are you going to the Triple Crown event? Yeah, that's that ACA event with all the other people that be there. It's one of those probably. However, we haven't bought tickets yet, so. There's another event down in Oregon going on the same time as Orlando, and we'd already said okay to Aquashella, so we won't be at that one, unfortunately. That happens a lot for us. Basically, I'm only willing to do an event once every like 45 days, and so a lot of times stuff will line up, and we all get run down, we start getting sick, and all of those things if we try and pack too much in, and so we kind of go, well, where will we see the most fans? What makes the most sense? You know, oh, they're willing to reimburse one of the hotel rooms. We look at, you know, kind of the whole package and go, where, you know, one of the biggest things is where haven't we been before, or the least amount we've been. That is a big factor, because, you know, it's I do want to visit more and more states and countries and all of that. So. Catching up with the chat. What would I do with a 300-gallon year-round pond in north central Florida? Well, I don't know the exact temperatures in north central Florida, but I would probably just do guppies, honestly. I love watching a herd of guppies come up and eat, whether that's in my own fish room. really, especially outside. Outside, you get all the color. I would also have some cherry shrimp in there too, because they look amazing. Open another aquarium co-op in New York City? I can probably safely say never. I can barely keep it together at the moment with, you know, a store expansion, a warehouse, and an online business, and an online, like, being a personality. So I'd have to have more people on staff that really wanted to make that happen. And at the moment, they're all up to their eyeballs just like me and like, wow, work is crazy right now. Work is actually harder because sales are down. We're down about 20%. Well, no, 15% over last year. So that just makes things stressful, like trying to go, okay, well, how can we, you know, like, oh, make sure we try and fit a live stream and buy everything, everyone. That'd be great. You know, buy some Easy Green. Ding. It really would be good if you bought Easy Green. I did a whole video, well, not a whole video, but I talked about retesting Easy Green basically on the 800 gallon. That video comes out, I think, this Sunday, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just drinking my own Kool-Aid. And I basically am admitting defeat and saying I have to dose Easy Green into the 800 gallon. So I'm going to set up an auto doser. I ordered a new one to try out and test. So yeah, I was just thinking of something else I could spoil, but I better not spoil it. It's too early in production, or not. It's not too early in development. Okie dokie. Would I ever come to an aqua shell in Dallas? I've done aqua shell in Dallas. I did the first one they ever did, actually. I would say there's a decent chance we would do it again this year, but nothing's final yet. It's, you know, unfortunately, I have a very, what is it, awkward relationship with about everybody in the industry, because and you know, let me preface this by I'm not the only one trying to do good things, but in general, I really advocate for the hobbyist, and that usually is at the detriment of the person making money. So I'm very much trying to change things about these events and make them better for people who attend, and that's almost always worse for the organizer. And so, like, this aqua shell is a step forward in going, I would like X, Y, and Z change. Can we make this better? Can we do this? You won't do that. Well, what about this? And then we see, like, did it actually get better? If it did, then maybe I commit to the next thing. But if it's like, no, that's the same old story, been there, done that, let me go try and support a different event and see if they can get closer to what and I fully realize that I don't have all the answers, but I think I know, like, well, that would be better if we had that, I think. So we'll see how it goes. Is there any plans to visit Goliad Farms and do an event? We haven't talked about actually doing an event there yet, because a lot of times, you know, insurances get involved and you can't have that many people on a property or something like that. But if we did go to Dallas, highly likely we would also do Goliad Farms. I left a comment to someone yesterday, I think. You know, they were like, your content has changed, you don't do long videos anymore, X, Y, and Z. And I kind of laid it out that, like, COVID has changed the world. Like, while we were in Florida, we were supposed to go to a farm and film, and they straight up canceled on us a week before, just saying, we can't take the chance with someone bringing COVID into the farm. And so that's how we ended up filming Badfish, right? So we scramble, we get there, it's in an entirely different direction. We drove for an hour to get there. You know, the person had to come in on their day off because they were closed that day, right, a Monday. So we have to make everything happen. And then it just so happened that day I was like deathly ill. Like, I was trying to stay alive enough to get on the plane, and just had a horrible headache, and I was like sweaty and, you know, trying to keep it together. That's why I wasn't really in that video. I was trying to keep it together. And so, but that's how, you know, gives it like, oh, Corey's not even doing the video anymore. It's like, well, we had something else planned, and everything just kind of fell apart. And so that's made everything just exponentially harder. We get a lot of just, nope, you can't come because of COVID. We get a lot of can't leave the country. You know, 2 years in a row we missed traveling to China. We missed traveling to the Netherlands for Vivarium. We missed traveling to Germany to hang out with Chris Lukup and Oliver Knott. Like, there's a lot of things that we have tried to get going, but they keep getting shut down. And so we end up being kind of limited to well, what can you do in your own fish room? What can you do in your own store? What can you do with Dean? And for me, one of my biggest inspiration sources is going to see what other people are doing. And then I get inspired, and then I come back and I do it. And so when you take out the inspiration part for me, it's kind of like, well, I've kind of done all that over there. Okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to film. And so it's very much a chicken and the egg, and that's the downfall of me being a hobbyist. If I'm not inspired and having fun and doing that, I don't want to make content. So the good news is I do want to go film, and I want to go see these things, and I'm chomping at the bit for sure. But with that comes, the social media is my job, but also I do it because I actually like it, and not just like, it's not like I'm paying an employee where if you don't put out a video, you don't get paid this week, right? So I have the option of looking for inspiration, and I don't want to say doing the best videos I can, because I don't do the best videos I can. There's always a way to do better. Yeah, I want to see where did that go hide right here? Because I know I missed a couple of the member-only messages. You get one a month, and I want to try to hit those. Oh, they fell off my screen. Have I seen a tank full of African knife fish? Dan's Fish has a video where he feeds them. I think you'd like it in your fish room. I haven't seen full of African knives. I've seen of ghost knives. I've always been intrigued by it, but I've never done it. Kind of expensive tank. And then I also worry about the long-term appeal. Like, there's definitely, wouldn't it be cool to have 1,000 of this fish? And that might be cool for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then it might be boring for me. I don't know that because I've never done it. So I try to think about, do I think I'll enjoy this long-term? I should mention, by the way, that people who are subscribed to the channel, that's free, you just click that subscribe button, can chat. If you can't chat right now, it's because you haven't hit that subscribe button. You do have to wait a day before you can do it, but you can be ready for next time. So, what else? Oh yeah, I wanted to make mention, because I don't think everyone saw the announcement that are members. If you're a member, you can go online and you can sync your account. So you go to account settings on our website, you sync your account, and you'll automatically get 5% off every order you do. So if you spend $100, that gets you $5 saving. That buys you a month of the speakers and everything we're doing on the back end. And now that integration's working, we've been in more meetings to go, how do we expand how do we expand the benefits we're offering? Because I totally get it. I mean, we put out like that little video yesterday, and people are like, this guy trying to get Netflix money, what a goof, right? But everyone starts somewhere, and this is where we've started. And we know that we're asking a lot for you to give $5 instead of buying a Subway sandwich or whatever. But over time, I think it'll be worth it. So, let's see. There was something I wanted to answer. Where'd it go? I'm trying to start up a fish store in the Midwest, but I'm having trouble finding wholesalers. Any suggestions? This totally goes back to, if you worked in another store, you would know all the sources. I don't know anywhere who's going to be extra local to you in the Midwest. I do know some places that you can order from, but that doesn't mean they'll be good for you, because different water parameters. I would start. Well, one of the things I would do is I would reach out to what's their Aquahuna. Aquahuna sells wholesale. I think they ship out to some of the states. So you could, and this should probably go without saying, but you're going to have a business license. You're going to have most places require pictures of your retail storefront, all of that, so you're not just a hobbyist. In my opinion, the good places require you to jump through a lot of hoops. The not so good place will just take anyone's money. The other thing you could do is take a trip down to Florida and visit the fish farms. And you might be going, well, how do I do that? Well, you go to the ALA like you could have. You would have been taken there. Or B, there is, what is it? The Florida Tropical Fish Association, FTAA or FTTA or something like that. You could probably get a list of some farms that are down there. And once you start working with some farms, usually you'll find out about some more farms. And it's a slow process because you got to test them out. Like obviously you could order from seagrass farms. There are people that swear by seagrass farms fish. And you know, Sandy's a nice lady and all that, but those fish absolutely fall apart in my water. Like they have hard water, we have super soft water. And so it doesn't work out for us, so we don't buy from them. But it might be the perfect one for you. I can't know that. There's also like 5 Deep Tropical, kind of the same thing. There's a lot of these big, massive wholesalers, but whether it's going to be a good fit for your business comes down to water structure and type of fish and all of those things. All right. Maybe someday there'll be I have to sneeze, so that's coming. Maybe someday there'll be a fish wholesaler that really wants to work with us and somehow works out a deal where, you know, we get like a commission for sending a store that way, which, just like everything else, I'd have to vet them. We'd have to be ordering from them. It couldn't just be like, they'll give us money if we tell you to go there. But maybe we could work out a deal where there's a good wholesaler, we start buying a lot from them, and we also recommend other stores buy from them. And that's the closest we'll be able to get to like a uniform franchising of like aquarium co-ops. If we're, you know, selling our own product, which by the way, our product is for sale in Minnesota at King Lee's Fish Store, Twin City Guppies. But if we do more of that, you know, imagine if they were buying from the wholesaler we buy from for fish, and they were getting our dry goods that we sell, getting closer and closer to people having their own little aquarium co-ops near them. Love the Easy Green and the sponge filter. Well, me too. I use a lot of it. Do I feel like you've created your dream fish farm, and if you could go back, what would you change? No. I think my dream fish farm requires me not to have a job. Because the time, the part of the problem is like there's time every day to feed and kind of do some stuff, but there's not the time to daydream and just be like, yeah, I should just try that because I want to. And because part of that is you got to be inspired by something, whether it's nature, someone else, whatever. Then you got to act on it, and then you got to realize, have it come to fruition, and all of that. So it's not my dream little farm yet. I mean, I'm enjoying it for sure. Like some of the things I hate, not hate, that's a strong word, that I don't know if regret is the right word. I love the ponds. I absolutely hate it when I have to film, because showing you guys what I can see with my own 2 eyes and know and all of that is way different than showing it through a tank and everyone can see it super easy and the filming of it's easy and Jimmy's job is easy. When it's me trying to go, well, how am I going to show and explain this when I know how to do it and how it works and what I'm seeing and what I'm looking for, but they're not going to be able to see that. So that part is not my favorite. But if I'm just enjoying it myself, love it. Is there a temp at which anubias can die? A cool water tank, so my rhizomes turn to mush. Wondering if the issue was temp. I don't think 66 degrees is anything to worry about. You probably got anubias rot that will crop up from time to time. If you bought that plant from us recently, we'll reissue you one. Well, not just one, like however many you bought. Like it's something that no one knows how to really fight, and you know, you can basically have 100 anubias and 2 will have it. So it's just a weird, it's like a defect, a production defect almost, which is a weird thing to think about. You know, maybe think of it more like you make 100 steaks, maybe you overcook 2 of them. That kind of, like, that seems weird, but it's not just set up a robot, makes it identical every time. There's different, was a bug eating at it? Was it getting too much sun or not enough sun at the farm? Was it planted a little bit too deep in the rock wool? Was it, XYZ factor? All right. No respect intended. With everything going on, are there any plans to shy away from doing business with China? I'll support you either way. No. So I'm very much, the way I can explain it, I think, is I'm very much a work with people person, and so long as they don't give me a reason to not work with them, why would I stop? And all of our partners in China that we visited and done work with and have been working with for many years, they're a joy to work with. Now that being said, if someone was to make sponge filters and they were down the street, I think I would probably develop a really good relationship with them, and maybe I would start using them instead. But I'm not actively seeking to take a product that's working really well and we've developed a partnership, well, not a partnership, but a relationship, and they know when we want to tweak something that it's fairly easy. Because what's really nice is, like, I want to say this year we bought somewhere around like 80,000 sponge filters from this company, right? If we email them and go, hey, we want to launch a new sponge filter, or we want to launch a new product that your plastics and sponges can make, they go, great, what do you want to do? Where if we email, let's say, a company that has never worked with us before in any country, they instantly meet us with like, I don't know, how serious are we? We don't want to waste time. And so you spend a lot of time trying just to prove it's worthy to even start working with us. Meanwhile, we find out, oh, they can't do what we need them to do at all. Like, they're not going to be a good business partner. And we have business partners in Vietnam and Taiwan and the United States too. And we will work pretty much with anyone that we think are good people. Now you could argue that, well, XYZ's government's not good or something like that, and like that. But the reality is, when you are sitting down with someone, you can feel out if they're a good person. And if my government changed and changed a bunch of things about me, not about me, but about the feeling of the U.S. or something, that doesn't change me as a person. And that goes down this, I know that that'll polarize some people and all of that, but if there's a reason specifically with the people, that's, I really try to focus on doing what I think is best, and that's a very hard line to walk. There's no doubt about it. So, but if you revert back to the question, are we looking to shy away from doing business there? No, but naturally we have been, just because we haven't been able to go to the conventions there. But there's no conventions anywhere else in the world either. So, whether I found a company to work with while I'm in Germany, when you go to like Interzoo, for instance, everywhere in the world attends there. And when you start talking with a company, you don't know what nationality they are until you say, oh, your factory is based out of where? Because just because they might be, Chinese, doesn't mean they don't have a factory in Italy. Oh, like the pumps? Yeah, they come from Italy. This comes from here. Like, a lot of times it is, just like me. What are the odds I have a store not in America? Pretty low, but I could, and you wouldn't know it, right? Until you go, oh, wow, you have stores in Australia too? Weird. But in general, whether it's Fluval, whether it's China, Vietnam, Taiwan, Fritz, doesn't matter who it is, Extreme, if we start a business relationship with you, you're doing a good job, you're helping us push the hobby forward. To me, it makes sense to divert my energy towards making the hobby better in other ways instead of optimizing something that is likely to change on me anyway, of like, oh, well, the port's so congested we can't get it in, and there's a factory down the street that'll make this. We were forced to make that change. The word on my light, the latest words, I think we're still waiting on new models. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure where that is. The last I knew, and the last I think I told you guys, is we were waiting on new models to be built to put the aluminum into so we could have thicker housings so that there hopefully would be no deflection or so little that no one cares. That being said, I think we're kind of a perfectionist because I told someone else about it and they're like, they didn't even notice. They're testing lights and like, really? I was like, yeah, you haven't noticed yours bowing a little bit? And they're like, do people care about that? And I kind of hit them with that. Well, I care about that because I know if we sell 10,000 lights, if 1 out of 1,000 people don't like it, like, oh, it's bending a little bit, that's 10 people that we know aren't going to like it. So that's 10 bad reviews we're going to get. So I try everything to go, well, how do we really make sure that we're not going to get these bad reviews? 800 gallons looking great. Yeah, it looks better if I change the lighting, but I do like it. I do like it quite a bit. Let me see if I can change the lighting for everybody here. Which, by the way, I have a lot of, well, you can't see it at all. That's awesome. Can you see it now? There we go. I have a lot of Kasa Wi-Fi timers and light switches. So let's see, is that one? Yeah, I like that view a little bit better. And if I turned off the lights that are lighting me, you'd get even better view. But I've been definitely playing with light. You know, like today I don't have the hair lights on because I kind of like this vibe of like dimmer. I kind of, let's see, what else could I turn off? That one? No, that's fish room. Meeting table lights, that's those ones. And the office can lights. See, now I think I'm a little bit too dark, so I turn that one back on. Yeah. But the hair lights, where'd those go? Those things drive me nuts, these ones. Because now you can, like, it's in the corner of my eye. It lights up some of the darker spots it's supposed to, but yeah, that one I could do without. All right. Atkins Nature Aquarium of 4 months, working and lurking. I like that, working and lurking. Have a great day. I hope my employees are working and lurking. Like, we let them listen to stuff, and you know, I'm a big proponent of, if it doesn't affect the way you work, why should I care? So that's what I like to do. What can we expect from your store expansion? A giant waste of time. No. Much bigger Murphy tank, going to 10 foot long by 6 feet front to back by, is it 37 inches tall? Something like that. Massive, massive tank. Biggest tank that we can have made that won't have to fuse panels together. So there's going to be that. And then I think we're putting in, I think we're going to do the tanks that we have at the warehouse, which are, I think they hold about 40 gallons, but they're only 1 foot tall, 2 feet wide, and 30 inches front to back. I think we're going to put in like 50 of those on one wall. And then on the other wall, we're doing, I think we're going to move the betta systems, and then above it, we're going to have a bunch of betta tanks for sale. And then where we took that out of the store itself gets remodeled too. So new carpeting, and we're going to expand the amount of checkouts. So right now we have like 2.5 checkout stations. We're going to go to more like 4 or 5 checkout. So checkout will be faster. We're going to increase the area to where we bag the fish and all that, so that it's not such a choke point. We're basically getting rid of everything in that small room where we check out. All those tanks are going, becoming area to check people out, and then everything gets bigger on the other side. Also should be more like aquascape materials, rocks and wood and that kind of stuff. But that's the vision right now, and as you actually build it, you go, ooh, we could put that right here. That'd look really good. Oh, we could do this right here too. And so that's all the big, you know, that's like the big furniture, and then you kind of fill in with smaller good ideas. How big of a tank is it? I want to say it was like 1,350 gallons, something like that, for that new Murphy tank. So it's going, so Murphy's going from 360 gallons to 1,350 gallons. So it should be quite an upgrade. That's a good point. So Murphy tank and the camera, I am intending to install a higher quality camera, and then potentially we'll see, you know, how the troll to good time ratio is. We're thinking about potentially setting it up so it would be live on YouTube 24/7, and then maybe like members could use it as a chat room or something. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of room for unsavory things to happen. You know, it could be advertising competitors, could be political stuff, could be trolls getting in to spam pornography just by paying the $5 to become a member. So it's hard to say, you know, if that'll actually happen. Are there any plans to reinforce the rectangle ring that holds the net to the co-op net? Out of habit, I shook mine to get excess water, and it snapped like a twig. I don't think we don't have plans to do it. Like, I don't know if we've broken any at the store, and I haven't broken a single one. We can definitely look into it though. We can go It's probably in the next year we'd have to go, okay, well, can the molds can we change either plastic makeup or can we beef it up? But we'll put it on a list, but how fast that list would get executed, I'm not sure. We'd have to do testing and all of that, so. Can I do a Val update, like trimming, how to spread, stop spreading, some of the myths about trimming? Oh, we've done a lot of videos with Vallisneria. There's like different cichlid tanks we've set up with it, how to stop it from spreading by using like pieces of slate. I don't know that I'll probably do like another video on it, but if you have specific questions, you can ask them here. Trimming it, I've seen it go both ways. You trim it and it melts back. I've seen you trim it, no problem at all. Like when Jimmy had his 125, when he lived with me, he would trim it and it wouldn't melt back. But I've definitely had people trim it and it melts back, so. Is there any way to keep Java moss together that's floating freely? The best way I've found is to use like a hairnet. So you grab a hairnet from a bakery or something like that. Maybe you can ask them, and you just put that over it and kind of tie it off and cut off the excess. What's different about this live stream? Nothing. Really nothing. Yeah, it seems like people are divided. Some people have snapped those nets. Other people say the best nets they've ever used. My guess would be it comes down to the way people use nets. Like that's part of the problem with designing a product is, I use a butter knife to do this all the time. It's like, well, you're using it as a screwdriver. That's not intended. Shaking of a net depends on how violent, I guess, but in general, when there's a way we can improve a product for our customers, we look into it. But manufacturer could say no. They could all say it's going to double the cost. Could also say no problem. It'll be that way next order. We do have a lot of nets to sell, though. Thanks for recommending Aquahuna. I got clown killies and CPDs from in October. My shipment got lost for 9 days, and they were still alive and well. Oof. Well, you probably did okay because clown killies and CPDs both can live in like pretty cool water. Normally I keep those in tanks that aren't heated. So you probably, if you'd order like clown loaches and rams, you probably would have been singing a different tune of like, oh my God, it's horrible. But yeah, I'm glad to hear it worked out for you. I mean, we still order fish for the store every single week. And, I think it's a solid option. There's a lot of options out there to order online. There's other YouTubers, there's other farms, there's all kinds of stuff, and we do get a kickback if you order from it, so need that disclosure out there. And yeah, I'm glad to hear it goes well though. I don't like it when it doesn't go well. Ryan, wait 9 months. I like it. How's the sustainable bulbitis search going? If I'm being honest, we basically gave up on it for now. At the moment, buying a plant is a challenge. Just with COVID and I realize I say COVID a lot, but that's the excuse we get every time for everything. Like I could stub my toe and the doctor would be like, COVID. I could, try to order a pizza, COVID. Oh, I need a replacement filter, COVID, right? And so, but I think that COVID excuse, or I don't know if the excuse is the right word, but the COVID definition, it's just a very easy term to say that extrapolates through supply chain issues, staffing issues, governmental issues, depending on the world, all of that. So, like we're actually going to stop selling pink flamingo. That came across today, and like it's just the quality is gone down a little bit, and only one of the two farms is producing it now, and the pricing's going up. So like everything about it is changing in the wrong directions, and so the last of what we have is going to the retail store to be sold, and then we'll probably wait a while and it'll come back. I have been seeing that Apontigitans, I've seen more and more people like on the forum go, wow, Apontigitans are amazing, look at this plant. And so that gives me hope that we might be able to reach out and find some good Apontigitan sources again, because the typhoon hit it and quality was absolutely terrible for like a couple of years at least. And if they're back to good, we sold a lot of Apontigitans because they're an easy plant. But you know, part of that problem is we sell so many, quality goes down a lot. It's how can I explain that? The best way I can explain that is like with banana plants or something, right? So this is a good example from one of our farms. They went from selling like 500 a week, right? Between all the stores combined, to us when we place an order, we go, well, we'll take 1,000 a week, right? And so they initially say, yeah, great, we can do that, no problem. And then after about a month, they're going, oh my gosh, it's really hard to 3x what we were doing. And so quality gets a little smaller, maybe a little bit less leaves, maybe a little more rushed. And that happens with so many plants for us of like, of course we could do that. And that's like us saying, well, we could do 3x as many videos or 3x as many sales and not have problems. Like, you're going to have problems. Like, that always a thing in business. If you build one house a month and now you're going to build 3 houses a month, there's going to be technical challenges you don't foresee. Even though you go, well, it takes 5 people to build a house in a month. We'll hire 10 more people, we'll have 15 people. But you're going to find that, oh, you went to Home Depot to pick up a part. They only had 2 out of 3. You're going to run into these different delays and just different things that all of a sudden you can't build a house in that time anymore. And we run into that all the time with the live good products. So it's a challenge for us. Which, I'm not trying to go down the business path, but I'm just trying to answer the questions I get. As the company has grown, have you had to be more thoughtful about other creators who you do videos with, partner with, and share your platform? Yeah, definitely. There's lots of people we basically don't associate with anymore because over time we found, this is going to just sound wrong, what we've observed from, you know, customers and all that kind of stuff, things we don't agree with. And so we go back and usually we'll get rid of the video, and you know, there's things that people change businesses, they get more desperate, they hand the business off to someone manages it differently. And like one of the biggest ones was, remember the best guppies in the world, and I got them from Guppy Train? Supposedly that video would get brought up lots in guppy groups, and people would contact that guy and order from him. And they were saying that guy was being terrible and shipping bad quality fish and like stiffing people with the fish didn't come in right. We were getting hit up on customer service like, you got to take this down. And so it makes it really hard. On one hand, you got people going, hey, go film more stuff, go do more things, recommend more things. And then when things don't go right, how dare you for leaving that up, right? So it's just like, this balance. So yeah, there definitely is. What are the odds we think that this will work out long term? Should we be extra careful here recommending this? You know, and that's the worst part, is even when you try something, you have a good interaction, and then it goes downhill long term, it's just unfortunate. So we definitely have had that happen. Andy Atkinson, so proud to support the channel. I can't wait for your stuff to be available in the UK. You've been around a long time, Andy. 29 months. Trust me. It's on. Right now we're waiting for, we've done the test shipments to Canada, to like Fish for Thought, Flynn's Fish Forum, a couple other people, and all the shipments went well. Now we're just waiting for app partners to make sure all the pieces of software talk to each other for international shipment in our warehouse. And then we just have like a few other things, like instead of a blue bin, I think it'll be a green bin for international orders. So when it comes down the conveyor belt, the international orders will know to pull that into the international shipping station. And so the hope is we roll this out for Canada. It goes well for, you know, say a month, I don't know, pick a time where we're confident. Then we start rolling it out for more and more countries and making sure that one by one it goes well and that we can handle customer service claims, because there definitely is going to be people like, where's my stuff? It's been 10 minutes. Like, well, international purchase is going to take like at least 2 weeks. So there's that. And then, what do we do when, European Post loses it? I don't know the answer to that yet. So will be a lot of learning on our end too. I found brown springtails in my immersed plant grow out bins. Is that a sign that it's going good? I don't know if it's good or bad. I wouldn't be concerned about it. I would say that. Like, in general, I like nature to be doing its thing. I don't see it as a bad thing unless you're seeing any if I don't see a detriment to it, I don't see it as detrimental. I know that seems super simple, but there's a lot of people that see something that they don't expect and assume it's going to be detrimental. I go, let me see how that goes. Mitch asking about shipping outside the U.S. I think I covered that a little bit. Didn't want to, pass you by. When triggering quarries with cold water, would you flick the heater off for a few hours? No. I also don't do intentional cold water changes to spawn corridors. I just feed them a ton to do that. There was something I wanted to answer. Does that mean Canadians will be ordered from Aquariumcoop? Yes. So the way it would work is you would shop our website just like anybody else, but when you if I set it up absolutely correct, you won't even be able to see live plants because it won't exist on the menu, but you'd be able to read an article, and then you click on a live plant, and the goal is that when it pops up, it's just going to tell you, hey, you live in Canada, you can't order this, but you can still read about it. So there's actually a lot of work that goes into the website to make sure it's going to work okay. And we're through most of that right now. There's still a little bit more tweaks to do, and there's still a couple more places where it says like free shipping over $59. Well, that won't be the case for Canada. Sorry about that, but we're gonna make it work somehow. Like, it's not gonna be the cheapest. The goal is to get it working, not the cheapest possible. We can work on that after. The reality is it's just tough and expensive to ship stuff to other countries. Let's get that functionality working. Then we can see, is there any room, any place to optimize. Am I going to carry Oase filters online? Nope. Not unless they change their tune. Where were we? We were in Florida, and we had the Oase booth right next to us, and I was talking crap about them as I stood there because I was watching the guy demo. He still was showing off the fluidized media that's in a bag that won't be fluidized. It's stuff like that I don't understand how they get away with. Get away is the wrong word, but it just seems like in a hobby that's hard to understand for a lot of people, why would we start with things that knowingly just are impossible to work? And that's, a media that's supposed to flow around with flow, right? You defeat the whole purpose of it when you put it in a bag so it can't move. And it's a simple fix, right? Throw some bio rings in there. Then you just go, hey, we got bio rings like everybody else. Instead of going, we have fluidized media that's clearly better, even though we don't allow it to move. Like, what? So it's stuff like that, and I don't know. I mean, I still have such a bitter taste from having meetings with these people and them just like dropping the ball so hard on the things that were, like if you follow the directions, you flood your house, like all that kind of stuff. And their response was, German engineers, they know what they're doing. What do you know? You're just at the time, like you're just a 35-year-old nerd. All right, cool. And I'm not saying I know it all, but there are things where when the VP of Oase, I don't know if it's a VP, but it's someone high up. There's like multiple people on the call. When they're like, oh, you're right. If you do follow directions, that's a train wreck. And they never fixed it. Like, so when you even realize, they're like, oh, yeah, that's not right. And then they don't fix it because basically what happens in a situation like that, like Oase is a German engineered brand. And so you've got the U.S. branch, which, by the way, they started out as a pond company. So their bread and butter is not even aquatic or like, home hobbyist level aquariums. But when you deal with that international thing, getting them to change it, because it's probably correct, the translation is probably correct in German, right? But not in English. So getting that change to be made is such a monumental task, and because people's jobs over here, it doesn't matter how they get paid, if that gets fixed or not. They try a couple of times, they don't really care. I don't really care either. That's how that stuff goes down. Same reason we basically had to stop working with, same reason we had to stop working with Sera, basically. Kind of the same kind of BS going on. There's a lot of people that support Awaze, and that's fine, because I just wish people would also pair it with, like George Farmer, for instance. He is supported by them, and Randy, my director of operation, was supported by them at a time. Like, that's fine, get your money, but also call them out on it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm getting my money when I sell Fluval products, but I also tell you, I hate dealing with that company. I give you here's what I don't like about it. And that's my critique a little bit, is like, well, not every Awaze product is terrible. I do think most of the stuff is overpriced, but stuff that's like knowingly not right, let's call it, for what it is. Like, they're mag floats. Yes, they're magnetic scrubbers. They are literally mag floats with a different brand on them. You can say the same thing like, Corey, aren't your scrubby pads just magic erasers with your name on it? Yes. What stopped me from buying other ones? Nothing. Other than ours won't have any scent to them. You can buy unscented ones at grocery stores and stuff, and you're free to do that. Ours, you can click a button and it can arrive at your house, and you'll know that they're already the non-scented ones. Easy peasy, right? Like, I'm not going to try to tell you, like, well, we've re-engineered these things to be somehow different than what they are. It's a very simple item that is useful and I use all the time, but there was no room, like, to re-engineer it, basically. Like, it is what it was. Like, that's what it is. So we're going to sell it, and we like it, and we'll make it like more of a convenience thing, throw it in the cart as opposed to, something else, which I realize is just a Me Too item. I will not say that's not what it is, because that's what it is. But if I find myself trying to buy something and it being a pain in the butt, I try to make it easy for myself. That's usually how most of the products come about. That being said, I realize everybody still needs to get paid, and I would encourage George Farmer and AquaPros and other people, get your money. I mean, there's no reason not to get money out of these companies, but and that's what I like about it, is you do get the money and then they use it for good, right? I wish there was, if more creators kind of said what they should say instead of what pays them, I think it'd be better. I mean, one of the things Joey, the king of DIY, does really well is he will call BS on a product and shows you what he likes and doesn't like. That is respectable, because it's in your best interest to never talk bad about a brand, to always keep that door open. It's that can only help a creator. That being said, I don't believe that helps the hobby, and I really am here for the hobby. If I can't be, the white knight for the hobby, and not that I don't fight very well. Like, I'm probably the worst knight there's ever been, but at least I want to try to go, well, I'll try to be good instead of evil. Doesn't mean I am, but I can at least align that way. I'm chaotic good or whatever. Maybe that's what I am. Yeah, wait, Awaze made a mag float? Yeah, look it up. It literally, you'll be like, is that not just a mag float with their logo? Like, yep. Because they sent one to me, and I sell mag floats, and I'm like, I was basically just doing a meme in real life. Like, everyone sees this as the same thing, right? Like, it's the same. And they were way more expensive. That's the funny part. It's like, mag float, which I sell, is way too expensive, in my opinion. Now, that being said, I've never sourced magnets for myself, but it seems very expensive. I have tried way more magnetic scrapey products than I care to admit, and MagFloat is doing it right. Don't get me wrong, if I find a way to replace MagFloat, bring it in, Aquariumcoop eyes it, make it cheaper, better, all of that, I will do it in a heartbeat. But I gotta say, you know, their product does work really well, better than all the other ones I've tried from manufacturers and all of that. And, you know, sometimes you just got to pay that higher price until, you know, maybe it's the, you know, the quality of the magnet, maybe it's the quality of the plastic. I don't know what their secret sauce is, but it works really well. And so it's one of those things, like if I'm walking to a convention, like, ooh, there's a MagFloat, I wonder if that's any good. And so here's how you know they have a stranglehold on it, because I already called it a MagFloat. I should say a magnetic scraper. It's like Kleenex, right? Like, instead of calling it a tissue, you say, oh, I need a Kleenex. That's how you know they've dominated the market. But if I see one, I analyze and go, could we change it? Could it be better? Could it be different? Would it be cheaper? Any of those things. And so far, everyone I've seen has just been like, yeah, it's a magnet thingy that sucks. So they're doing pretty good. I just wish it was cheaper. So why doesn't anyone import freshwater sponges from the Amazon? I don't know that answer. I've never kept one. So I don't know if they're a good solution for green water or not. Maybe. What's your thoughts on the evolution of AquaPure aquarium balls? I don't know that product yet, so I don't have an opinion. My standard thing is, if it's just another type of media is kind of media. And what I mean by that is, like, this bottle will grow bacteria if you just throw it in your sump, right, or your filter. So there's a lot of claims of how much better one product is to another, and in practice I find there's not that much of a difference. But if they're all the same and one makes you feel better, buy that one. Aquascapers are in love with Awaze. In fact, I would love to be sponsored by them. However, they have to confront that cheap material on the thermo filters. Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. Anyone would love to be sponsored by a company. Like, I'd love to be sponsored by Diet Coke. I'd love to be sponsored by Awaze if they change their product. I'd love to be sponsored by Taco Bell. Like, getting access to free stuff and money or having a say in stuff, all those are good things that, for the most part, universally everyone wants. That being said, if you were presented with, you could partner with Awaze, or you could partner with Fluval, or you could partner with Eheim, or you could partner with Sun. Like, when you have more options, then you can be a little more discerning. Like, I gotta be honest, I really do love Fluval canister filters. Like, I'm not even a big canister filter guy, but I really do love Fluval canister. I also love Eheim canister filters quite a bit too. Awaze ones are fine. They're not terrible. I just don't think, you know, in my opinion, the Awaze canister filter is a Toyota Camry with the Lexus badge on it. And the problem is, a Fluval canister filter is a Toyota Camry canister filter, but it's got the Toyota Camry price tag and badge on it. So that's my beef with it, of like, you can't be like, hey, we're better, and then also be worse in some aspects. Like, great, you want that extra money? Fix the problems you got. By all means, then I got nothing to call you out on, right? Because there's always like, I just want to buy a Lexus, I just want to own a Ferrari. Sure, great, but at least make it so that they're, you know, not going like, oh, it's the same thing as this. Like, why would you just pay more money? Bust out the taco hat. It's right there, actually. If I didn't have to move some frames and stuff, I might. Any plans of getting Vibra Bites baby size? No, I was real excited for it because I do love Vibra Bites. I don't think I have the package of it anymore. I'll see if I have it. Oh my gosh, I almost did the thing where I run with the microphone and blow everything up. Let me put the microphone back on. There we go. I actually do have the mini, or not mini, but the baby Vibra Bites. What I would tell you, and maybe you already do this, but have you actually taken the baby ones and put them right alongside the normal ones? The size difference is very close. And what I couldn't really come up with was, who is it that wants to eat these baby ones versus the normal ones? And can't you just like crumple them a little bit as you feed them? And that's what we would do. So what I do is I test them and I kind of get my opinion. I have Robert at the store test them and he gets his opinion. And we do Randy and Dean, and then we all kind of, I asked them all independently, like, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? And we all kind of came back of like, they're not really much different than the normal ones. And I was like, yeah, me too. And so that's where we decided, like, well, I don't know if we're going to bring out another SKU. I mean, if the whole world is like, man, I only want to buy the baby ones, like, we'll carry it. But from us evaluating, because we evaluated it before it was like readily available, and I'm just going, I don't know. I'm going to have to do a song and dance and try to tell people why they want to buy these. And the reality is, like, I don't use them in my fish room at all. I use the normal size ones in most of the feeders because I just don't see a big difference in size and that kind of stuff. So, you know. Why do you like this chair so much? Probably because it's electric. That's why I like. But can your chair do this? This is when I just get stressed out and I'm just watching like numbers and cameras and going, what do I do? This big decision I got to make. You know, like, I spent half a day trying to figure out if I was going to order like $60,000 worth of product they're all new products. Most of it is all new products so it's like the heaters, it's the insulated bags, the new Aquariumcoop Never Clog Air Stone. There might be something else in there too. But like, sales are down. We don't really have the money to buy 60 grand worth of stuff that, you know, is kind of what it is. But I end up pulling the trigger because I know it's going to sell. I know they're good products, and we're just going to have to find the money, you know. That's really what I got to do. So we're putting it on because we know it takes months and months and months, right? Like, so we're making a decision today that you basically spend this money, and then in 4 months, is when we have the chance to sell it. And really, what I was really hoping for would be that our latest order would come in, you guys would fall in love with the new battery-powered air pump, you'd buy a ton, and then we could afford to do this. But we basically just fronted the money and are hoping it all works out. So, yeah. Yep, new air stones. Where are my prototypes? Let me see when I find you some prototypes. I'll be right back. Why not? Oh, I just dropped the mic. That's probably horrible. Nope, I sent all the extra samples to Dean, I think. I do that a lot. I get like 6 of something, I start handing them out, and then I've got, some in my tanks, and I don't want to pull them all the way out of there to show them, but they're very similar. Well, they are. They're the same. Well, not the same. They're similar to the original Never Clog Air Stone that was multicolored and plastic and weighted. We added more weight to them and made them all green. Is basically what we're doing. So back to original basics. Yeah, leaking new products one live stream at a time. That's what I do. Yeah, new battery-powered air pumps. I've been looking for something like that. Yes, but they won't be out for like another, let's see, 2 weeks probably. That's if the port doesn't hold them any longer. They were supposed to arrive in October. Then they got pushed back to, actually today, December 2nd. Now they're pushed back to December 9th. And so that just means when they hit the port, right? So that's probably 4 or 5 days until they actually hit our warehouse after that, if everything goes right. So we're probably at least 2 weeks out. Are the heaters Aquariumcoop brand? They are, but if you remember that other live stream, like, we just can't test long enough to really ensure. Like Dean and I have been using them for, I don't know, 9 months or something, and we both really like them. And Randy was testing them, and we've gotten photos, and we've done things, right? Like, one, I want to say we were writing I think Irene's writing the instruction manual right now, but like the cord's 11.9 feet long, because we like a really long cord on all of our products. Yeah, and it's a nice, we're only launching the 100 watt heater because I still believe that's all people need. If you need 300 watts, use 3 of them. I believe you reduce risk. I believe you reduce on-off cycles. There's a bunch of good things that come with it that America hasn't caught up on that a lot of the other world has. But yeah, it probably won't be out till, let's see, January, February, March, like March-ish. If everything goes right, could be longer, right? Who knows? COVID can get in the way. Political stuff can get in the way. There's Chinese New Year, that delays production. That's why we have to buy it now, basically. We basically want to put them in production before Chinese New Year starts, when everyone takes a month off, and then hopefully they'll be on the water, and we get them more towards like February, March, instead of, we had products last year that they didn't start producing before, so they don't start producing until February, which means they don't get on a boat till like March 1st, which means we don't get them till April. So we're trying to get them a couple months earlier by fronting the money even earlier, which is rough. What's my advice on using pleco fry? Also, how would they even eat baby brine shrimp if their mouths are so flat and they have to be suctioned onto something? So they don't have to be suctioned onto something. And I don't know how it works. I just know that they will eat baby brine. Anything on the floor, they'll even flake, they'll eat anything. I don't know if it has to die first or it has to be on the bottom. I just know it's super nutritious and they'll eat it. I was under the same impression. In my mind, at the beginning, brine shrimp, mid-water, not going to work for plecos, right? But after seeing Dean do it all the time and his stuff grow like a weed, that's when I started trying it. And sure enough, they eat it and they grow well. What do I personally feed my fancy goldfish? Vibra bites and cichlid excel. And then also frozen brine shrimp. Why doesn't anyone breed fairy shrimp? They are related to brine shrimp but are in freshwater. Yeah, I've asked myself that too. I think the eggs are hard to collect is the difference. Because I really looked into that going, yeah, freshwater brine shrimp, this is the way. But I could never really get, I think I got to the bottom, I was like, oh yeah, that's why it's not going to work, but I still felt like there was going to be, someone would be able to push through that eventually. Bunny Viper, welcome, new member. Welcome to the new members, by the way, if I haven't welcomed you in a while. The next speaker is Barbie Florentino on breeding plecos. So that'll happen on the 3rd Saturday, which would be, let me see what day that would be. 17th, 18th, the week before Christmas. So, and you get access to all the older talks if you join, and you get 5% off everything you buy on the website. That'll even be for international sales once we get that going. We're also trying to do, there's other benefits too, like in-person events, we try to give like a special giveaway to those people. You get 5% off in the store too. I know there's more stuff. I'm just really bad at my job. My pink-tailed Chelseas are doing pretty darn good. The banded Leporinas are growing like weeds too. So awesome you've been to Peru several times. I hope you enjoyed the food and collected good fish. Yeah. The food can always be hit or miss. When I travel internationally, it's really hard to know what food's going to be good and bad, and not like the type of food, right? So, like, imagine where you live right now. Like, I've got 10 Mexican restaurants next to me. But if I don't know what their version of Yelp is and if they're reviewing them, you just go in, you eat, and you hope the food is good. And, like, over half of them might be, like, mediocre, and there's only one that's, like, really good, and what are the odds that you find that one? So it can be really hit or miss where you're like, oh, my God, this food's amazing, and then you're just like, yeah, it was ho-hum. That's the problem I have in international travel is like I love trying all the things, but you don't even know like did I even try a good version of that or is that just like a so-so version of that? I don't know. Thanks for showing up, Carrie Pitt. He or she has been around a long time. Welcome, Criffon. DJ Mitchell says no 50 or 25 watt. No. So. What's kind of crazy about the level of production stuff we're at, to launch the 100-watt heater, I want to say our order is we bought $37,000 worth. So that's, so then you go, well, you didn't do a 50-watt one? Like, I didn't have another $37,000. So you got to kind of remember, like, on one hand, we do have 35 employees and we're like this big of a company. But that seems, well, to me it seems big until you like look at like Tetra and Fluval and stuff and you realize like this is us. And then it's like, when you look at planets, you're like, that planet looks huge. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, then there's planets that are just like this big. That's kind of the problem we have is like, we're just big enough to get like one thing going like that and like one electronic, and same thing when you launch like the air pumps and stuff. And so it's a huge like, there's all the money we've made. Let's hope this works out. And then when it does, you go, phew, okay, now we can launch the next thing. When it doesn't work out, like, oh no, yeah. So that's honestly, we're too poor to launch 25, 50 watt, 100 watt, 200 watt, 300 watt. And honestly, I believe that 100 watt is the solution because you can use that in very small tanks, you can use it in large tanks, and I also think that most people's tank journeys migrate. And so if you have a 100-watt heater in a 5-gallon, that'll work. And you upgrade to a 30-gallon, that's still going to work. You upgrade to a 300-gallon, now you got 3 of them, that still works. Kind of like the reason why I think a lot of people should buy 2-foot lights. Most 2-foot lights will handle almost any tank. Oh, you got an 8-foot long tank? That takes 4 of them, right? Or if you buy 30-inch lights, like, well, 3-ish with some coverage issues. So, when I build like the store and my fish rooms, I usually am doing it by 2-foot sections. Either 2-foot lights does a 4-foot aquarium, that's 75 and 55 gallons, right? 120 gallons, also 2-foot. Or you go to a 6-foot tank, that's 3 lights, right? 1, 2, 3. So that's kind of how I feel with the heaters too is, majority of what should be sold and people need are 100 watters. And then, after that, you can get into specialty stuff, and that's, you can do what you want, but we can only afford to launch one. And so let's be clear here. Like Bulk Reef Supply, they made their own heater and it gets great reviews. I haven't tried one, but they put it in a bunch of different sizes, but they were sold out on sizes for a long time. Our goal is when we bring something on to not run out of it. And so we have to go crazy deep on it. So we're not just like, we launched the best thing you can't buy. And, knowing that there's supply chain issues, we have to go deep, and that's where $37,000 in heaters. And this is it's the best heater we found that we like, and, that's I'm just wandering, or like, not wandering, what's the right word? Rambling at this point. Yeah, 2-foot lights, just buy 2-foot lights. They're the most modular thing that exists because aquariums are basically based off 2 feet. 20 high, 2 feet. 30 long, sure, that's 30 inches, but you go from 2 feet, you go to 4 feet, you go to 6 feet. Those are all interchangeable, but if you have a 4 or a 6-foot light, that doesn't go downward, so there's no backwards compatibility. Do I reckon we could ever land Ed Konings for a membership chat? Do I have the power? I think we could. I've seen him speak 3 times. I think his speaker fee is, like back in the day, it was only $500 per talk. I think it's doable. I don't know. So the bigger issue I would ask is he tech savvy enough to do online talks well? That I don't know, which we do trials, and some people, it's not going to work out too well. So we go, well, maybe it's not, maybe the right fit. Is our heater adjustable? Yeah, you can adjust, like 72, 73, 78, that kind of stuff. Are you going to be able to adjust the heaters underwater with one hand? You could if you're a barbarian. You adjust it outside the tank. That's right, outside. You just, by taking some of the electronics out of the water, you reduce failure occurrences. Doesn't mean it'll never fail. Like 100%, I should probably have a big bold thing on our page when we sell it, like this heater will fail at some point. It's like buying a car. Like you're going to buy a car. At some point, that car is going to disappoint you. You're purely buying the one that you think is going to disappoint you the least amount. What webcam am I currently using? The Flex, I guess, I think I'm using, oh no, it's not a G Master lens, I don't think, but it's an A7S III. A7S3, yeah, I don't know. I've got another one sitting over here too. So basically like a $2,000 or $3,000 camera that brings this kind of clarity. That being said, Stefan, your live stream, your audio is amazing, and your video quality is good too. So, yeah. My only nitpick is I don't like seeing the studio mics like on a boom arm or on the desk, but your quality is good. I typically don't chat in your streams, and I don't even stick around that long, but I do chime in to see what's going on from time to time. Mostly it's just to have background sound while I'm working. And by the way, I did vote in your poll, and I prefer the clean version of the Guppy song because I think that's more commercially viable. Have you ever thought about doing an aquascape? Jimmy seems to be a plant enthusiast. Yeah, I used to do some aquascaping stuff when I was new. The problem is time intensive, you got to be motivated to do it, and like treating plants a lot. I'm kind of past those phases. So, not that I would never come back to it, but I like seeing what a tank is going to do. So, like I like that Murphy's tank is filling in with dwarf chainsword and that kind of stuff. Taking a long time. I like to go, let's see what'll happen instead of let me force a thing to happen. And I can admire beautiful aquascapes, and I do, and I think they're amazing. I just think they're more work than I will enjoy, and so I try not to introduce things that I know I'm going to like, oh gosh, time to do that again. The camera changes focus every time you blink. It's a little distracting. I'll look for that. It shouldn't be hunting that much, but maybe a setting got changed. Because it should just track my face. I'll look for it though, because my goal is not to, not to have a bad experience for you. So I'll see what I can, if I can notice that as well, Ryan. Plant tanks are a pain when it comes to algae. Yeah, you can get it dialed in. So it just takes more time, I think, disproportionate time. I would love to breed fish. Like if I'm going to put that much time and energy into something, I'd rather breed a fish. And right now I love making products, and so a lot of the let me make fish is now let me make product time and testing. And like I have a CO2 regulator right over there that I should be testing. I just haven't got around. It arrived yesterday, so it's not like I've been neglecting it forever and a day. But I really wanted to get a live stream going, and that's my day, right? You wake up and you go, do I play around in the fish room and work on, the CO2 system, see what I like and don't like, or do I go live today? And then I go, how long has it been since I've been live? I should probably go live. Can I go live? I think I can go live. I'm also supposed to go to the bank and yell at them because I closed down an old credit card for the business. So we had a local credit union. And it was the first credit card we'd ever got for the business, and it was up to $10,000. They would never, ever, ever increase the limit. And so we were paying it off daily to make orders happen for fish. And like our average fish order is like $3,000 or $4,000, right? So we're paying it off daily. And they can see this trend. They would never give us more credit. So we actually moved bank, went to Chase. Now we have, 6-figure limits and that kind of stuff, and it's no problem at all. So I tried to close my account down several times, but I have a silent business partner. They won't let you do it unless the business partner is there. So I get them up here. It's a 90-minute trip for them. We get in there. We close down the credit card and the bank account and all that. I was like, what does that sound? They're tearing down the building next door that the tree came down on and crushed that guy's garage. That's why we had tree work done. So when the power went out, oof. Anyway. So we're at the bank and we're doing all that. We had to set an appointment because of COVID and blah, blah, blah. And we haven't closed down the credit card, the checking account, and the savings account. Well, my accountant let me know like a week ago, like, oh, did you know that you have a late charge on this credit card that you haven't used in 4 years? And I was like, what? Because it's a $25 fee every year. And so they didn't close it down apparently. So I need to go in and be like, look, we closed this down. I shouldn't even owe you the $25, let alone the $25 late fee on the thing I shouldn't owe you. It'll probably just end up with me paying them $50 just to save time and get out of there instead of fighting the good fight to go, you messed up and I shouldn't owe you this money at all. And I've got till like the 13th to do that before they'll charge me $25 again. I almost went into that today, but I was like, I want a live stream. Maybe I'll go do it after, but I doubt it. I'll probably do it a different day. So happy for Twin City Guppies. Any feedback on increased foot traffic since your video came out? Since my video came out. Did Twin City Guppies put out a video? We've been sending out, so one of the things that we're doing, we're really on the back end trying to help local fish stores and do some things. So like we've been sending out, so my camera is having problems, I guess, or maybe my connection is, I don't know. Anyway, trying to help local stores and see what we can do there. And so we've been sending out flyers for King Lee's Twin City Guppies store for like 4 or 5 months now, trying to get you guys that order from us to go to that store. Now it's 100% against good business practice. I'm taking someone who, let's say you bought stuff from us, and then I'm going, hey, go check out this local fish store. But I think that long term, something good karma will happen. We'll get like, maybe King Lee's the next biggest fish monger or best YouTube star, or we'll have a great event there. I just feel like there's got to be something bigger to this. Like we make money, we do okay, but I want to help other stores and make more of this hobby better more. And one of the ways to do that is to improve people's local communities. And so we started with supporting local fish clubs. Now we're starting to support some of the local fish stores. And it's, like it's not like I'm cutting them a check and going, here, stay open. But what can we do that makes sense on both sides of like, hey, we sell you a product, you sell it, you make money. All of those things hopefully are win-win. And, hopefully we can extrapolate that out worldwide. And I don't want like everyone to bow down and be like, Aquariumcoop made it happen. I just want to see like, hey, the hobby is thriving, and I believe that if the hobby overall is thriving, we'll probably do better for it as well. And so it's kind of that we're going to put some good karma out there, and hopefully it comes back in good karma. And we don't charge Twin City Guppies to do that at all. They're part of the test program, and someday maybe we will. I don't want to say we're going to do that forever because it's like we spend thousands of dollars on these postcards we print up and we send out and all of that. And so at some point, maybe we will, maybe Fluwall comes to us, hey, we want everyone to know about the FX9. And we go, great, let's sell you some postcards to put in our thingies. I don't know, but I'm glad to hear he just chimed in and said foot traffic's gone up. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully things just keep getting better and better for him and their family and their store. And then we'll, when things calm down, which every time things calm down a little bit, like, okay, I'm gonna rest up a little bit. Tomorrow maybe I'll tackle that project. Another thing comes up, but I do want to reach out to maybe Badfish. I like that store, and it's a smaller store, and we want to try to help them in Florida. And not that they need it; they're a good store, but see if they're interested in it. And that's something I want to be very cognizant of. Just because Aquarium Co-op wants to work with you, it doesn't mean we would actually help you. We're hoping that we can be beneficial, and we're not looking to be like, oh, I'm so important. Let me get in there and make your life better. No. We just, we want to see if it's amenable to both parties, and because I do believe there's things to learn from other stores. I believe, like, there's a product that they had there that I actually like, and we're looking into, do we want to carry it and that kind of stuff. So it's a mutual beneficial relationship and learning. And one of the best ways to make my own store better is to work with other stores and see what good ideas they've had, what have they found, what are people responding to, what's the feedback on this. And so, yeah. Will I ever do a group live chat with like Candy, Zenzo, Dean, and Jimmy and you? Probably not. I'm kind of it's not kind of, I am a talkaholic. I talk a lot, and I always just feel bad with the criticism. Like, if you go back to the last live stream, there were people like, you didn't let Dean talk enough. And so I do struggle with that. And so my gut reaction is just don't put myself in that situation. I've tried to get better. My problem I have is when I have a guest, I like to keep the conversation moving all the time. And a lot of times guests haven't done as much as I have online or in front of an audience like this. And so there's a lot of dead space. And so it ends up being a lot of like, well, what do you think, Dean? Part of it also is the way this is set up. It's not meant to be read on a big screen, and they can be coming in with their own questions and doing that. And so it's, it's a big change to make it happen at the level I want it to happen, and making sure that mic levels are all the same and all of that. And so I end up filling in the voids, and then it comes off as I don't let the other person talk and this and that. And the reality is I would love it if the other person did all the talking. I just sit here. That'd be great for me. But I really want to make sure that you guys are getting a good show. It's moving quickly. There's not just dead space. And so that's going to make it sound like no one is as good as me. That's not what I'm trying to say either. But I think I'm the problem of a group chat or just two. And I see it in person too. When Dean and I do an event in person, I see that problem. I'm long-winded and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know the answer to that yet, really. Have I ever kept any small parrotfish hybrids, like the polar blues or the platinums? I haven't. I've only kept normal blood parrots in the past, never any of the other morphs. That's true. I did. So Aquarium Co-op has donated to the Fish Fam Christmas. That's something that Rico Stan has kind of spearheaded, and it has to do with a lot of other live stream channels. If you guys are into that, if you're not into that, check them out. Maybe lots of basically gift cards being given away. I want to say, like, I don't know what the exact number is, but last time I heard it was something like 27 $100 gift cards we're giving out. Could be more or less at this point. I don't really know. I just basically committed to it. Like, you make it happen, you do the work, I'll financially support it. What's the best flake food for green zebra danios? Toxic Hunt. I would say the best food is, in my opinion, I really like the Extreme Krill Flake. Now, I've tested other flake foods. I've tested even other flake foods from Extreme. I believe that the Krill Flake food, I don't know, it's just something that's so good that I'm not sure we're ever going to be able to beat it. And that's a big claim, and someone might do it someday. And Extreme is even trying to do it. And I always come back to like, it's not better than the krill. The krill is magical. So I really, really love Extreme Krill Flake. If you're not buying it from us, buy it from a local store. If it's not in your country yet, hopefully it will be soon. It should be in the UK, I think, now. And I think it's coming to Australia, or it is there real soon. Am I still thinking about an easy green with little to no nitrogen? Not really, Patrick. You know, stuff like that. Like this is basically our #1 selling product. It's amazing, right? Developing a new, like the testing and everything to develop another version of this would take away from like the regulator, the light, the other things. And so until we get to a point where we feel like we have run out of stuff to improve on or add to our product line that we don't have, it's hard to go, yeah, let's just make another slightly different version of this, because it's way more than just making the product. It's like, well, where's the blog articles? Where's the customer service references for that? Where's the videos are going to go with this to explain the difference on why you would want to use this versus that? And that it ends up being like, to do something like that, it's like a team of 10 people working on it for months, and not just like, oh yeah, just do it. I'm missing a count on something. It was 41, now it's 42. What are we talking about? Is that new members, maybe? Is that what that is? I don't know. I just clued in on middle of something, so. Good food for royal broken line plecos. I would do probably Rapashi Morningwood, or find yourself some Sera food. What do they call them? They got the wood in it. Wood chips, I think they call it. So both of those would be a good food. Am I out of the loop? Co-op brand regulator? You're not out of the loop. We're working on it, and again, might be years out. But I've also been working on regulators for, when did we stop selling those ones that we had? 3 years ago, 2 years ago? We've been looking for what we think is the best regulator for years. And we've been working on it. We haven't found the perfect one. This one's, I gotta admit, real close. It's real close. Before I've even tried this version, we're getting really close. So hopefully it's like, yeah, that's the one. We'll have it in 6 months. Don't know though. They're also very expensive. Regulators are stupid expensive. Who can out-chat Corey? I think Rico Stan can out-chat me, as in maybe longevity. Especially now that I'm so busy with work, but if I didn't have to do all the other things I was supposed to do, I remember we used to live stream for like 8 hours and stuff, but now it just turns into like, oof, I got emails building up, like, oh no, they want, when you have a team of people waiting on an answer and you're like, I should really answer them because their workday's coming to a close. And I've got people that work on the East Coast and that kind of stuff. So like if Irene was waiting on me, I think she stops working in like an hour or something, which I don't think she's waiting on me, but if she was, that's an annoying thing of like, oh, he didn't answer me. Yeah, CO2 regulators. So if you don't know what one is, it's to inject CO2 into your aquarium, and that can speed up the plant growth that you have. And some plants require it, but most don't. And I'm not even a huge fan of CO2 just because it speeds up the growth, and I like it to grow slow. That obviously at the warehouse we like it to grow fast because that makes a better plant for you. It converts faster. Which apistogramma are peaceful? I've had Borelli and Hungsley, and they're both really bad. I like apistogramma cockatoides, either orange flash or super reds. The other one that I find to be pretty peaceful is actually apistogrammoides, which are a very small, kind of like a sister species, because they're apistogrammoides. So they're technically different than apistogrammas, but they're so close and they're smaller, and I find them to be a little. Will C says that there's 42 signed up for the giveaway. That's what that number means. Got it. Well, maybe we'll get to 42 new members. If you're on the fence, hit that become a member button, save 5% on everything you buy. Yeah. I buy Zoom Ed's Nano Banquet Block from you because my local stores won't carry it. Any idea why it might be hard to get? That would be because Zoom Ed's a terrible company. They always, well, that's not true. That's not entirely true. Wholesalers never carry enough of their product that we find. And then on top of that, we've tried to work with them directly, and their minimum orders are like $5,000, and they're not any cheaper. So what does that mean? That means, let's use this product as an example. Let's say from the wholesaler, it costs $10, right? And you go, oh, you have 10 bottles of Easy Green. I'll buy all 10. And then you go 3 months without getting any more, and you buy all 10 again. And then you get 3 months, you buy all 10 again. You talk to your wholesaler, like, can you get more of these? And they're like, well, you're the only one buying them. And if you stop buying them, we don't want to get stuck with 50 of them. And so you go, well, I really will prepay and buy more. Like, we don't do that. Like literally one of the wholesalers, like let's say that the buy price is 15, but we're getting it for 12. If I special order it, they charge me 15. So then you cut out the middleman, right? And you go, okay, I'm going straight to Zoom Ed. And Zoom Ed goes, we will only sell to you directly if you buy $5,000 worth at a time. And then you go, okay, well, maybe if the buy price is right, we could do that. And they'll go, the buy price is $13. And you're like, but that's more than I pay for my wholesaler. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they go, oh, you can't have wholesale price. You're not a wholesaler, you're a store. And so you fight with them, and then maybe you get it down to $12. The problem is, $5,000 of a $12 product is way more than 50 or 10, right? And so that's like this crux of like, yeah, I need like 100 of these things every 3 months, not 500 every 3 months. So they've been really difficult to deal with because we love the Plankton Banquet blocks essentially, and the other problem we have problem with their product is their betta floating caves. They sell them to Chewy so cheap, they sell them for like $6 or $7. Our buy price is like $9 or something crazy. And so it's a no-win situation for us, and we really wish they would, I get it. Maybe Chewy's buys $10,000 worth or $20,000. Like, we'll do that. But you got to give us that same kind of pricing, and they won't. So it's a no-win situation. So I feel like the store is probably trapped in that trap that we're trapped in, because we were trapped in that way for many years. Now we just go and make our own products when we run into that stuff. Like, oh, if you make it so you run out and I can't buy it, and you won't sell to me directly, my option is don't carry the product or go make a product. We usually do one of those two. You need a new LLC that's a wholesale purchaser for your warehouse? Yeah, except you still have to prove how many accounts you're selling to. Like a good example would be API. We wanted to buy their meds. They were constantly out of stock. When we met with them at Global Pet Expo, I think is what it was, we sat down with the VP of sales and the head of aquatics division, and they were like, oh, well, to buy wholesale, you have to do $3,000 worth. And then we pulled out the invoice. In the last 3 months, we had spent $34,000. And then they just changed the tune of like, well, you have to sell to other stores and this and that. You got to have this many accounts, right? Because they think that like the $3,000 is going to be a lot, and it's like you're proving the point. Like, you don't get it. I was already buying out 3 different wholesalers. The problem is they're not in stock, and they keep raising the price. Let's cut out all that riffraff. You sell more product, and therefore it's better for you. But there are some archaic companies that, and there isn't a problem when you keep the wholesaler stock. If the wholesaler stock we can buy from them, we don't need to go down this path. It's when there's that gap, and that gap happens all the time for retailers, especially during these supply chain issues. But even when there's not, that's it's a big problem. Have I tried the Sera Catfish tabs extra large? I have. They just turned to dust on me. Bought them 4 ounce for $17. It's why we stopped carrying Sera products. They changed to the natural types of product. And so just like the normal Sera ONIP tabs, they changed the formula and it's not nearly as good. We fought back. We say, bring it back. We'll keep selling it, blah, blah, blah. They say, no, this is the direction we're going. They straight up in an email, or maybe in person, I don't remember which now. Now it just sounds like I'm a liar. So anyway, they certainly were just like, yeah, millennials want natural products. We're going in that direction. And I'm like, cool, except we sell the lion's share of these things. Keep them the same or we're dropping it. And then we dropped it. And their response to that was, great, Petco sells them now. All right, let Petco sell the stuff that is not up to our standards anymore. Like, it's not like I can stop them from doing it, but, you know, I don't know. It always sucks to work with a company like that and they just go down a path that you're like, this is clearly the wrong path. I don't know what to tell you guys. Is a nano banquet block on the way? I've got samples. We've tried it. Like to make our own Wonder Shelly banquet block, maybe plant fertilizer type block, nutrient block. But we haven't found the right manufacturer. So far we've only found like one manufacturer in the United States, and they'd be more expensive than anything we're selling right now, and the quality is not where we want it to be at. And we haven't found a good manufacturer outside the United States, so that one's at a standstill at the moment. You have to look at signing into long-term sales contracts, especially if they have to expand to meet your needs. I mean, I don't know what else to do. Like the plant farms, we literally offered to build the farms, and they won't do it. We tried contracts. Like the reality is, what I think is happening is you have someone sitting on the other side of the table that they're going to be moved to another sector, get fired in 6 months anyway. So they don't want to set up these long-term contracts because they get their bonuses based on how much money do they get this quarter. And so they just don't care. We've tried everything. We literally go to Fluval and we go, can our supply people meet with your supply people to make sure we never run out of stuff? Can we link up our demand system with your forecasting system to do this so that, and we'll pre-buy. We also try to set contracts. So we have a contract with Easy Green, right? We have a contract that states that they have to have 1 month's supply sitting in stock at all times for us to reorder, because too often we'd go, hey, I need $50,000 worth of Easy Green. And they go, oof, we'll start producing it. We'll be ready in 6 weeks, right? So it's not like we're just showing up to the party and showing up unannounced going, hey, we'd like to do some business. These are things we've tried to cultivate over years with these companies where they keep falling down. Like with ZoomEd, I've been working with the rep and different reps for, what is it now, 13 years? Like it's not just we showed up, it's literally Noah, and he does local reptile events. He's also the ZoomEd guy. We see them and other people at shows. We see him, you know, in Interzoo. We see all these things. Every couple of years we try to go, hey, have you gotten reasonable yet? Like, it's even easier for us to buy $5,000. We just need it to be not more expensive than the wholesaler. And then they basically come back with, nope, we're still not reasonable. Oh, okay. You know, it's stuff like that where it's just like, I don't know what to tell, you know, like, and we tried going above their heads, like maybe they just don't know that they're missing out. And like, no, they know. Okay. Yeah, you can't make them sign, you know, it's, yeah. Like with Dennerley, you know, like the $1 million+ deal, they never got their lawyers to put stuff into contracts, and we were flying over there. You know, they'd pay for us to fly over, and we'd do stuff, and then, you know, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago now, I gave them the deadline of Thanksgiving, and they never got a contract in front of me, and I was like, you're just wasting time. We're spinning wheels talking about what we could do instead of doing. They wanted, it was over $1 million deal to basically buy out the rights to Easy Green and have me sell the Dennerley fertilizer. They have an all-in-one. I don't like it as much for the U.S. market because it's still in liters and that kind of stuff. It is a pretty good fertilizer, so you know if in your country or it's at your local fish store, buy some. I do like it. I think is it V7 or V20? I can't remember. They've got, part of the problem is they got like 7 different versions. That's annoying. But, you know, back then, $1 million was a lot of money, and we'd be able to launch a bunch of new products and do all that. And it kind of seemed like, okay, well, we get to sell another fertilizer I still like. I tested a lot. I still like that fertilizer. You know, so it wasn't all bad, but they could never, and we, you know, there was launching in America, and I'd have to be signed. I'd be a business partner in some other business. Like, it was a big thing, and it just ended up being a colossal waste of time, unfortunately. Because they were in the middle of selling back their farm. Tropica and Dennerleigh are kind of interlaced, and they were like selling the farm back, and then they bought it back, and this is going on, and this is going on, and this is, and it was just like, okay. I basically wasted a year of messing around with that stuff instead of just pushing our business forward. So I stopped doing that. It is hard to keep track of the chat, and I am doing my best. I'm sure I've missed. You know, asking a question via super chat doesn't guarantee you get an answer. Well, I don't even have super chats enabled. So super chats you can't even send me. When you send super stickers and you become a member and ask a thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'll get to it. Let's see. Have I had the time to look into using 3D printers yet for product testing? No. I am very intrigued by 3D printing. It's a skill I do want to learn. I haven't yet. I'm always impressed by it. I don't know if and because I don't know, I've never done it, I don't know if I'll have the skills, like I need to design a part. I don't know. If it's like CAD or something like that, like I don't think I'll be very good at it. I don't know though, I might be a wizard. I have no idea. Would you add chocolate grammies to a 20-gallon long with Cories, Guppies, Neons, and Platies? No. So that's a very soft water fish. Guppies and Platies are kind of a harder water. Plus, they're going to gobble up a lot of food, and the chocolate grammies are kind of shy. So I'd probably either make their own community or just let that community kind of be how it is. I mean, I don't think it would be like absolutely detrimental, but I also think you know, you might not get the full benefits out of it. Welcome, Ronaldo, new member. Trying to find the next question to really answer. Oh, how much money do I have to give him to answer my question? He has taken questions from multiple people who posted after me. Well, I don't take money to answer questions, and it looks like I did answer your question, but that's why I don't take money for questions, because people get very upset, so I don't do that. Like, I realize you are a member, and I appreciate that, but yeah, it's, you know, I've done the math. So let's say there's 3,000 members, right? And each question takes 3 minutes. Let's say that's a thing. Let's do some math, quick math right here. So 3,000 members times 3 minutes, 9,000 minutes divided by 60 minutes in an hour, that's 150 hours. So at the current membership rate, if I live stream 2 hours at a time, I'd have to do 75 live streams a month, which would be 2.5 of them a day. So I have to be live, well, I have to be live 5 hours a day to answer everyone's questions. So that's why from the get-go, I'm like, paying to do a question, it's not scalable with my time. It's impossible. And so therefore, it's purely, I will answer as many as I have time for. Hopefully it's yours. Hopefully I answer your question 20 times in a row and you're super happy. But if that's not you, realize it's kind of like, you know, maybe I should have the questions in a barrel, you know, like a ticket. Pull it out and answer that one, because that's more like what this chat is with so much. So, you know, and it does. That's a lot of times why I don't live stream, is because I hate disappointing people, and the easiest way to not disappoint people, at least in front of my own face, is to not do it. Which I realize is probably people that I don't see that are disappointed because I didn't live stream, but I don't feel bad about that because it's not in my purview. So realize, Fish Fan 20-gallon long, you've been a member 14 months. I super duper appreciate that. I will always try to answer questions when I see them and I have time. and I'm never willingly neglecting anyone. But I also, like, if I only focus on those types of messages, other people that show up feel like they're neglected. And I'm trying to, it's like there's a whole crowd of people. I'm trying to make sure I interact with everyone kind of fairly is what I'm trying to do. And it doesn't always come off great because I'm not a professional at it. I try to get better each day, though. All right. Remember, the forum's a great place to get questions answered. It's true. I do put some of my time into the forum every day. It's not always in answering questions. Sometimes it's in back end, like updating some of the features and that kind of stuff. But I do spend time on the forum every day. Does YouTube still do the 6-month membership? Mine is almost done and would rather not do the month-to-month. I think they might have gotten rid of the 6-month thing. I'm not 100% sure. They haven't really kept me in the loop fully on that. When I asked about it, because Zenzo had done that, they didn't have a 100% answer. So I think they're still in that reviewing results thing before they're going to go, yeah, we aren't going to do this. So, unfortunately, when we're gifted in some ways where we get to partake in new things that not everyone gets to do. But some of those things also never make it to prime time. And this might be one of those things. They might go, oh, this has X, Y, and Z problem. I have no idea. So we'll just have to wait and see. I can give you a great deal on some CPDs. I mean, if you've got, if you can supply 500 a month, we may be interested in that. That being said, it still can be difficult sometimes with shipping and that kind of stuff, right? So, but if you can supply that many at a decent size, we may be interested in, if you can only provide 100, that's kind of a problem for us because it won't make sense shipping wise and that. Also, it might not be the best time right now with remodeling and that kind of stuff. But at some point, on a surface level, anyone who provides a good fish at a decent price, better than what we're already getting, quality-wise, we could be interested. But most people, home hobbyists, have a hard time understanding, you need a lot for it to make sense. Because the scale thing happens. If we buy, 300 cardinals and rummy-nosed tetras every week, we get a better deal than if we just buy 20, right? And so you got to be able to compete on that level. And then also, if we're buying $4,000 worth of fish from one vendor, the shipping might be $600. If we buy one box of fish from one vendor, the shipping might be $250, right? So that's where that scale part doesn't really help us until you can keep up with that. And yeah, 500, I'm not that big yet. I totally get it. And that's why I don't breed for supplying a store. I breed for fun, and then I just drop off stuff at the store when it's fun and people get some good fish and all of that, and not I got a quota to make, because that makes me not enjoy my fish room when I'm oh man, I only made 300 CPDs. My vendor is going to get angry. I better up production. That's not fun for me. So I try not to do that. I have my puffer question, hoping that it will sway him. What was your name? Casho. I don't see. By the way, the best thing you can do if you're trying to get a question answer, instead of hey, did you see my question or anything like that, just repeat your question. Don't do it every minute, but maybe every 10 minutes. I don't know. I don't know what the right cadence is. Maybe mods know better than I do, but because I just my eyes are just looking for a line, I start reading. And I go, oh, all right, sweet, thanks for the help. Okay, that's not a question, move to the next one. Why are you so cool? I'll take my answer off the air. I don't know what that means, and so when it's quiet, it's me searching for a question that I think, okay, I've got some input, that'll be worth talking about. But sometimes I skip a line, or the chat will just skip, or something like that. And so the best thing you can do, instead of filling in with, hey, did you see my question 22 lines up? Just repeat the question. Now, I very much want you guys to talk amongst each other because you guys have knowledge that I don't. You've got opinions I don't. All of those things are going on. And I try to wade through that and either see things that I'm interested in or I want to weigh in on or something looks like it hasn't been answered yet. And like this one, tips for getting fish to eat frozen foods when they seem uninterested. That's usually a pretty rare thing. The things I would look out for there would be, could that fish food have maybe defrosted at some point? I've seen that happen on the back of semi-trucks and stuff before it gets delivered to a store. The other thing is there is a wide variety of frozen food. And what I mean by that is something like Hikari, they buy up all the premium bloodworms. They buy it all. Whether they can sell it or not, they have that contract on lockdown. So that naturally means that something like a San Francisco Bay bloodworm, not as good. In my opinion, they're much more bloody and they're just not as high quality of a worm. However, San Francisco Bay has the absolute best brine shrimp. So in a perfect world, you're buying Hikari bloodworms, you're buying San Francisco Bay brine shrimp, right? And then you've got Ocean Nutrition does a really good Cyclops. But most people kind of roll up to their fish store and they're like, hey, there's bloodworms of a brand. I'll buy that. Like the ones I really don't like are like the gumdrops. A lot of the Ocean Nutrition stuff I don't like. I like the brine shrimp, I think, from Hikari the best. That being said, like Hikari, they have the second best, in my opinion, brine shrimp. And that's actually what I feed just because, I don't know, I do. Even though I think it's because, does San Francisco Bay only do flat packs? I think I like cubes more. So where was I going with that? It could be that you have like the Goody gumdrops or emerald entrees or whatever. Like, in my opinion, personally, the mixed frozen foods are always the worst because they'll have things that they don't like. They're kind of the leftovers. They're not getting the premium price on a higher end, bloodworm or something like that. So, but I guess what I'm trying to say is make sure you got like, try frozen bloodworms by Hikari, try brine shrimp from San Francisco Bay, try Cyclops from Ocean Nutrition. You probably have one of those 3 brands at your local store and see if you can't get them to take that a little better. I think I cut my lip. These braces are murdering my cheeks still. I can taste a little bit like blood or something. Yeah. All right, here. Brace is so much fun. All right. Has Dean had any luck with breeding the Amazon puffers? Not yet. He did say he got them eating. They were eating a dry food. What were they eating though? I can't remember. I think he did get them onto a dry food though. It might be one of the foods we're testing from Extreme. Who's my favorite King of the Hill character? Oh, that's easy. Hank Hill. I tell you what. I kind of, low-key base my life around Hank Hill. Like, his character is at least portraying what a good neighbor and person kind of is. Like, there's faults there, but in general, you kind of see him just being a good human most times. And so, growing up, not having a father, I kind of adopted that as like, yeah, I think that's what a good father would be. And I think, I respect the love of propane, Aquarium and Aquarium accessories, essentially. He loves his lawn. There's things he loves his dog. There's things I can identify. And obviously, you see that throughout the business, right? It's like, oh, that's Ladybird after Hank Hill's dog. We've had, Boomhauer, which was a big flagtail Procholotus. We've had, who else do we have? We had, my wife would know. I know we've had other characters. We had Luann. Who else have we had? And so, it's obviously just a cartoon and we like it, but I like what Hank Hill's character embodies, I guess, of kind of just a good neighborly citizen, like he enjoys his truck, you know, even though it's old and all of that. And yeah, I do have wax for my braces, and this is the first time like back here has been a thing. Right, this front one right here was a real humdinger for a little bit, but that it, like, I think I slept on it and it like pierced into my lip, and it was horribly painful. When I would talk, it would catch it. After like 3 days of wax, it healed up and it was fine. So I honestly, I haven't done really too many live streams with the braces. I think talking this much is like constantly moving it on my cheek, and it's probably just beefing it up, you know. It'll be used to it after a couple times. Corey doesn't know what a JPEG is. Is it GIF or GIF? I'm moving soon to an area that has no aquarium shop for 30 miles. Other than a Petco, I want to start an aquarium maintenance service. Any suggestions? Don't. And I only say that because if there's no local store, how many clients will there be locally? There might not be that many. Now there could be. There could be like, man, there's no store and there's 4 billion people to service there. Might make all the sense in the world. But I'm like, ooh, no local store. I mean, there's only a Petco, and you might not be able to convince them to give you clients and all that. So I would definitely enter in with like a lot of hesitation. Now that being said, in my opinion, 30 miles to drive is not that far for a local pet store. A lot of people will do that. I used to do at least that to go to work every day when I worked at a pet store. And I've ran a maintenance business. I have videos on it. And you do a lot of driving. So, you know, but you might know that, oh, my business is actually going to be centered more around where the local store is. And so you might start your day driving 30 minutes, hitting 2 or 3 stops, and then driving home 30 minutes, right? And your goal will always be to hopefully pick up clients between the store and your home, so that the last one, like the tips I have was, and it's in the video too, is offer discounts if people will bundle up the same day, or they have a neighbor that'll do it. So you might start your route, you've got the store that's here, you've got one customer, and you've got another customer. The first thing you want to do is offer the second customer you get, I'll give you 5% off if you'll be on the same days as other customers. So you're not doing like 30 minutes to go service it, 30 minutes home, 3 days later, 30 minutes to service that person, 30 minutes home. You're much better off to go, you know, money-wise and all that, 30 minutes service the first person, 5 minutes service the second person, 30 minutes home, right? So definitely start trying to build routes and schedules and things like that. And fitting people in was, you know, I'd always offer a discount. It's like, if it made sense. Like, obviously it doesn't make sense if like, here's a store, here's you, and here's like the second client. And so you're like 30 minutes this way, client, don't give them a discount. We have to drive an hour this way to go to this client and then 30 minutes home. That doesn't make sense, right? But, you know, lots of tips, lots of stuff to learn. Hank Hill was a father figure growing up. I literally welled up a bit. He's the reason I call my son the boy when I'm talking to the wife. Yeah, we still watch that show. I think it's a very wholesome show. I mean, there's topics on there I'm sure that are controversial and all that, but I think the overall theme was, I don't know, there was something about that show I really do enjoy. And I don't know if I can articulate it correctly. How are the pups doing? I now call them the ulcer babies, which is a throwback to Hank Hill, or King of the Hill, the manger babies. But because the other Tinky, the youngest, got a very small ulcer on her eye. We went like 6 years never getting an ulcer on dog eyes, and now we've had 2 in the last 3 months. And this one was like microscopic, and it healed up within like 2 days. It still costs $600 to go to the dog eye specialist. So now I call her, you know, so there's the ulcer babies, and then I've been calling her the $600 dog, you know, because she's a rescue and all that, and she was cheap, but you know, now it's like, oh, you're expensive. Not that expensive. Dogs are worth $1 million. They're worth all of our money and our attention, and our love we ever have. They're amazing animals, and they reciprocate 1,000-fold. So completely worth it. but joking in jest names, and I would spend $6,000 or $6 million to fix my dog's eye. Money's no object. But they're doing pretty well. They, I think I posted it. I don't know if I posted it. Did I post it on my Instagram? They got their own little Thanksgiving. When we had Thanksgiving, we had my wife's mother and sister over, and then we made 2 little dog bowls with like a little bit of mashed potatoes, turkey, a little bit of gravy, and a little bit of a crescent roll, I think. Did I actually post that on my Instagram or not? I lose track. How do I get to my Instagram? I'm old. Nope, that's picture. Let's see. This is the best content, by the way, where it's like, let's watch Corey try to use Instagram. No, I never posted it. I just been posting gym pictures and other crap. So, yeah. I think I sent it to Dean and some of the other dudes. I'm wanting to start a nonprofit to help veterans get started in the aquarium hobby. I'm working on buying stuff now to have good quality equipment to get started. Well, that is an honorable task to undertake. I don't really have many tips on it. I think a lot of it is just spending time and building a community. If you can get a few people really enjoying, I think that it starts to build itself. Our free rescue pup ended up having parvo and cost $700 in vet bills to get better. Worth it as he's our favorite dog ever. Yeah, I mean that. Plus, I also think, like, my mind, if I could buy a dog for $800, right, and then, or I could adopt a dog for like $200, and it's got $600 worth of like making it better. Well, at least then, in my mind, I saved a dog and got it health care as opposed to just buying a dog, which, I mean, I'm not against buying a dog either. Like, I just, in a perfect world, whatever dog breed I'm interested in would be available at the shelter. And I'd be like, great, let's do this. But that doesn't always work out. And yeah, I've never bought a dog. I've always adopted a dog, which you have to pay money when you adopt, and that's fine. There's costs there for sure. But I wouldn't be 100% against it. There are some very cool dog breeds out there. I kind of really want like a wiener dog. Dash hound, I think, is their official name, but I don't know. I've always wanted one. What am I missing? I felt like I read something that I was going to queue up next and I forgot, so I'll just grab this one. Have you ever noticed different strains of guppies breeding at different rates? I have had a set of albinos for a few months and they aren't turning out babies like my Dumbuyer strain. Yeah, I definitely have noticed. I don't know if it's genetics, like as in one having better batches than another, or if it's, I've got my own crazy tinfoil hat idea that albino guppies are basically like blind and have poor vision and all of that. So, and so I don't think they find food as well. But that could all be in my head. But I've always struggled way more with albino guppies in general. Did my dog get an ulcer from a scratch to the eye? We don't know. We think so. Yeah, it seems like there's, each one had something. Like we looked at like their doggy door, and we made sure we cleaned it, but the same thing is like they've been using that doggy door for like a year, and so we haven't obviously, part of the process is like, well, how did this happen? Like, were they play fighting and that happened? Was it, is there something new in the environment that wasn't here before? Like if there was, like we have Christmas trees up now, but that was only been up in the last like week, right? And so like, but all of a sudden if both of our dogs got, scratched eyes, like maybe they're sniffing the tree and scratching their eyeball or something. I don't know. But we haven't found the culprit yet, so just do the best we can. I mean, if there's like a third one that comes up, there's got to be something in our new environment that's causing it. But we don't see anything out of the ordinary that, yeah. I mean, moved furniture from one house to another, and nothing is seemingly the culprit. It could just be, and that happens a lot with fish, coincidental things, and you look for there has to be something here causing this, and it could just be like, no, 2 fish just had a bad liver. Like no, they've play fight it their whole lives, and they never like fight, but we call it like, they get on their hinders and kind of like, shake their feet at each other and play. But, it could just be that both of them happen to hit each other, even though they've done it for years and it's never happened. Who knows? But third time, then I'm really going to get more worried of like, what is going on? Corey, can we see the heater? Nope. I've got one in a tank. One went to Dean's house. And the other one went to Jimmy to take photos. And then Jimmy sent it to Irene so she could have it while she's doing the instructions. So I actually don't even have one available to make everybody in my company angry at me. What's my favorite species of Corydora? I really do love Barbados Corydoras, but I also like Stir-Bite Corydoras quite a bit. Weenies have frequent back problems, and mutts, in my opinion, are the way to go. I have considered like a Chiweenie, right? Isn't that Chihuahua / wiener dog? Do I have any good information on sources of killifish and killifish breeding? Look into the AKA, the American Killifish Association. I think they're going to be at the Triple Crown event, which is a big event that's going to happen in Kentucky this year. But I think they've got some email lists and some other info you can kind of get plugged into and start learning. Oof. Little dash hound needs $1,900 in dental work. Saving up. Yep, I've been there with some big bills before, but whenever I kind of do a cost analysis on a pet, it's worth it every time. Like our dogs sleep in our bed, and I cuddle with my dogs every day. Not to the level of my wife. My wife is the super dog keeper. She is amazing. But I'm actually building a new office in our house. We're like getting rid of a spare bedroom so that the dogs can spend more time with me, because lately I've just been out here 12, 14, 16 hours a day working, playing some video games, in meetings, and all that kind of stuff. And so the dogs, they go outside and they're in the house, but I want them to be able to just come in like, what's Dad doing? And feed them treats. Like I literally have treats right there for them. So I want to be able to spend more time in the house. And when my wife, I think my wife might be shopping right now for some groceries, and I would love it if they were down in a bed next to me. And so, I don't know. I almost wish sometimes that I was like the Aquariumcoop was like the dog version, because I really do love dogs. I love fish too, but I'd probably, if I was like a dog company, I would probably wish I was a fish company and vice versa. But I love cats. I love animals. Let's be real. Anything. I need like I also want like a possum. Not that I would actually get one, but yeah. Aren't they pronounced dachshund? Yeah, I don't know if it's dachshund, dachshund. So it's kind of like bicher, beacher, biker. That's why I just go with wiener dog, right? Yeah, Chiweenies are great. They live pretty long. That's the only thing holding me back from bigger dogs is it destroys me. Like when we lost Sassy, it destroyed me. She was, 17 or 18? I like that longevity factor where big dogs are amazing, and I fall in love with every big dog ever. And but that 10, 12, 13-year ratio is gut-wrenching for me, because, I feel like in my mind right now, my mental space is big dog, we're adopting its 2? Like, oh no, that means only 8 years before, we're putting that thing down. I don't know if I can handle that. Somehow it's easier knowing, like, well, Chihuahua could live to be like 21. Corey is live. Sometimes, Emily, sometimes. How would you build your brand as a breeder? I'm fairly popular on one platform and struggling achieving that on others. So that can be pretty difficult to expand to other platforms, because having the time to learn the intricacies of other platforms is pretty involved. The main advice I have is try to point everything back to your own website and email list, so that no matter what happens going forward, you have a way to get in contact with your people, and you can expand on that, right? So if you are doing, and I have no idea what you're doing, but you're doing TikTok and YouTube now or something, whatever that is, right? You can at least email people and go, hey, I'm doing content over here. And hey, I wrote this blog article. And hey, right? So if you funnel it back to a source that you own, it makes things easier going forward. But it's still difficult for sure, you know, and we would love to do a better job on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. And you can hire people to do it, but it's still never as good as you doing it. Like, so even if I hire someone to do Instagram, I'm pretty much never going to go live on there ever, because I would go live here, right? So it's never going to be quite as good. That means you won't get quite as much market penetration. And really, breeding fish is a lot of work. So to be good at that is its own job. And then to be decent at YouTube or a social media platform is another job. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. I think I'm actually pretty good at running business, and I'm only so-so at YouTube. And I used to try and get better and better and better and better and better and better at YouTube, but I think I've kind of capped out of like, this is going to be the growth trajectory we're on, because I put more value in-person events, developing products, the retail store, than I do online. And I know that would probably disappoint to hear, but all of those things support online. So if I do something really cool in the store, I get to make a video from that, right? But if I do a really cool video, that doesn't necessarily make the store better. So it's kind of this big like pyramid where everything's funneling up to YouTube, and we have all these different people that work for us now, and so you'll get stuff from Irene and Zenzo and Jimmy. I'm really excited. One of the videos we're gonna have is we flew Jimmy out to California to have him interview Justin at Ocean Aquariums. So that's going to come out. What I like about that's Jimmy's artistic voice and all of that coming out. Like, here's the plane tickets, we bought that, go do this thing, come back, turn into a video, and let's see how that is, right? And meanwhile, Zenzo and I were doing something else, right? Like, so it frees up time and allows us to keep doing multiple things. And basically, we had seen how Badfish went. I go, I like that video. I like featuring another store. Go do Ocean Aquarium. And then, what's likely is like, hey, go do King Lee at Twin City Guppies. Like, let's stay busy. Let's see what people like. Let's do this. So yeah, being able to have staff obviously helps in other social media platforms. Firstly, you're amazing. Secondly, what's your thoughts on Western half-beaks? And what were the number one fish to breed for profit? Western half-beaks. I've got Celebes half-beaks. I've got maybe autocorrected. You mean wrestling half-beaks? I like them. I have them. I do like that fish. So I would say, yeah, my opinion is good. Or my thoughts on them, good. They're hard to breed just because you need lots of cover. I need way more floating cover for them. And the number one fish to breed, I actually think it's a really good, really good quality red cherry shrimp. I think that's actually the best money you could get going there. All right. Piotr from Poland. I don't know how to say that. I think I mispronounced that last time. I feel like someone could tell me like that's actually just Peter. But Piotr, I don't know, I'm like adding an accent that makes no sense. That's just my brain doing that because I'm a weirdo. I have a big problem with hatching eggs, rams and Cory eggs. Which water parameters are the best? I especially mean pH and TDS. So TDS I don't track at all. Usually you want softer water. As far as what I think is important for ram eggs and Cory eggs is methylene blue. If you can get them separated from the parents and get a little bit of methylene blue in the water to fight off fungus, that's usually the problems I find. As far as pH, the pH that the fish will spawn in are usually good enough. Sometimes you'll get a spawn where they'll spawn where it's not optimal for the eggs, but discus are known for doing that much more than like rams or corridoras are. So yeah, I would just focus on methylene blue if you're not doing that yet. Any chance you'll sell different plants online? Sure, at some point. If vendors can make enough of them and keep them in stock and keep quality control, sure. Problem is, that's a real tall order, so it's hard for us to add more on. It sounds like I said more on. Can we get an Elmer update, and could we get a care guide for a fly river turtle? I don't think I could do justice to a care guide. I've only owned this turtle for, 4 months or something. That's nowhere near telling other people this is how you should take care of an animal like this. I can keep talking about my experiences, and it's going well and all that, but I don't think I'm an expert, and far from it when it comes to that turtle. I can say that erythromycin, no problem at all. Cleared up the blue-green algae, no problems at all with the turtle, it seems. So that seems to have gone well. But yeah, he gets a little bit of an update, I think, in the next video, I think. Just like a little cursory thing. But yeah, I do need to do some more kind of filming on him. And yeah, we basically Dee and I worked in the fish room a bunch, and got more plants going. And part of having a big fish room, you spend a lot more time. Each tank got 2 minutes or 5 minutes, right? And not so much. We spent 4 hours on one tank. So there's not really big updates per tank unless I really focus in on that. And I just haven't lately. I've been working on, let's make incremental improvements on all of them. All right. I'm starting to get hungry, which, yeah, I've been going for, 2.5 hours? I should probably go find some lunch at some point. I've been listening at work and just got off and was able to see the stream. It's clean shaven Corey. It's true. I'm not even clean shaven. I need to actually, I've got stubble from yesterday. But my local fish store has a fly river turtle crush. Oh, named Crush. I see. I could spend hours in front of the tank. Yeah, they're a magical creature. I really do love them. I really do. Will erythromycin hurt beneficial bacteria in your tank? Any scientific paper would say yes. In my experience in the fish room science, no. I haven't really had any big setbacks or anything. I don't know if the bacteria that we keep in our aquariums has adapted to it, or if just all my bacteria has, but I don't see any of those big setbacks like could be reported. My tank's been cycling for almost a month. When do I know it's ready to put fish in? Tiago fish, I recommend getting some plants growing in there or some algae. If you get one of those growing, that's usually a sign where I'm ready to add a little bit of fish. Not all the fish, but some fish. The co-op lights, we're still refining. So no real news other than we're waiting on the next test thing. I really want it to be good. I'm sure whatever we launch, with a product this complicated, whatever we launch, it'll be like, it's only 98% there. Well, we'll work on getting it a little bit better. So at some point, we will pull the trigger and put it into production. But it's not, we know it can still get better before we get to that point. What's my recommendation on angelfish grow out tank size? Like if you bred them, I would say, go from container 1 gallon jar with eggs to 5 or 10 gallon to 20 or 29, then to 55. So I was speaking from science papers. Yeah, I mean, if we're going scientific wise, you could be like copper kills shrimp, and that's scientifically that's true. And then you also know that scientific wise, like shrimp have to have copper in their diet or they die. So that's what I always side with my fish room experience, because I feel like in a fish room that's what matters, right? And so I think the difference there is like cooking by recipe versus cooking by taste. You can get pretty close by cooking by recipe, but really I think the true good cooks know how to do it by taste, because these are a little more ripe or less ripe than normal. This is a little bit this flavor, and they know how to balance that out and really still hit everything correctly. Where, like, I'd be a recipe guy of like, I did what the recipe said. I don't know why it doesn't work or why it's not as good. I wouldn't know. Yeah, hitchhike duckweed. Yeah, I'm slowly losing the battle to duckweed. I keep finding it in more little places and plucking it out. It hasn't taken over any tank, but I'm definitely not duckweed free over there, which is brutal. Brutal. What does pleco taste like? So the common pleco that I've had, the best way I can explain it is like a can of unseasoned tuna fish, but not quite the tuna fish flavor, but very much similar texture and everything. It was really, really, really bland. So it needs a lot of spices or whatever you're going to do. Like I think if you're making tuna fish and you had, you had all the same ingredients and just used pleco, I bet it would taste fairly similar. Peter says, Peter equals Piotr. Okay. Have you watched Mr. Posada last YouTube movie? I haven't. He indicated that a low pH of 5.5 to 6.5 is good for osmotic pressure. The Cory is reproducing like crazy, but little eggs are fertilized. Yeah, so, yeah, that's where I differ. I typically, when I've bred a decent amount of Corys, not, for all I know, this guy is like the master, right? But Dean and I, for the most part, we breed all of our Corys around 7.0 pH, and we've made quite a few of them. When you get to that low a pH, the good news is it does help fight off bacteria and fungus, but I'm not surprised you're having fertility problems and that kind of stuff when the eggs are actually getting fertilized. So I would try doing it more at 7 because I think fish actually appreciate that more, which you get into the whole battle of like, when the wild they're this and here they're this, but like, yeah, but do you actually have wild ones and have they been adapted to something else? And I think you might get a better result more around 7. But, it's going to take some trial and error for you, I think. I'm in Holland and going to bed soon. Do I need to get more neons if I was sold 3 neons and 5 cardinals by mistake? I asked for 8 neons, but was a novice 3 months ago. Mandy, I think they're all going to school together. I wouldn't worry about it. I think they're, 2 peas in a pod. They're very close. I think you'll be okay. I bought an air pump with 14 outlets, but I only used 2 of them. Can I cap the rest of the outlets without breaking the air pump? Depends on the type of the pump. Here's what I would do. I would put a piece of airline tubing on each one and either run those behind a tank so it's quiet into maybe like a towel to dampen it, or I would run air stones on each one and try to like turn them down a little bit. But I wouldn't cap them off. That could cause too much back pressure. Will people buy your mystery snail eggs? Some people will, like on Aquabid, but I don't think it's going to be a big seller. Most people don't really have patience, and so they want to buy it done. So you're probably better off selling babies than you are actual just the egg clusters. In my experience, freshwater limpets eat cyanobacteria. But they're so tiny they don't make a difference. Okay, because I was like, I love limpets. I was like, I didn't know that. Cory, do you still game? I do. So I've got a bunch of monitors set up and all of that, and I try to play slower games so that I can still work. Because at any moment during the day, there is stuff that needs my feedback or something that comes up at any moment. And so I have to be playing games that I can just like walk away instantly. And so like I play a lot of EverQuest, slower MMORPG, and I typically try to play classes that if I had to step away for 5 minutes, my friends go, no problem. I'm not a critical, I'm not the tank or the healer. I'm not a critical role. And, and the good thing is I can kind of play a long time because I have to do a lot of email, right? So I can be playing. So I can play for long stints because I'm working. And so I bring that benefit, but I do have oh gosh, someone just walked in. Like at any point, my business partner could walk in and have, Tuesday is a good example. Like he brought in, the regulator and other stuff, and so I have to have conversations. And what's the update on this? Did the plants arrive on time? Is this going on? And so it doesn't allow me. Like a first-person shooter is not a good thing because I just have to gotta work, and I can't, in good conscience, play a game and be like, I'll work later. It's one of those purely like, no, work's coming in. I gotta answer that email, and like right now I could probably look and. Since I went live, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so I have 14 emails since I went live. Not everything's technical. Like this one's from Randy. He says, so we added air stones to provide water movement to the newest plant rows way back when we originally set them up. Now that we have them plumbed into the sump system, are they required? The way the plant trays are stacked up and jostle from daily operations causing the air stones to come loose. Not really a big deal as we are going to aerate even without an air stone. What are my thoughts? So like I'll get back to Randy and I'll be like, yeah, we probably don't need them for circulation anymore because this was the tanks we had off the system because we wanted to play with some crypts and some Anubias kind of immerse and that kind of stuff. And now we've flooded them basically. And so what I'll probably email back is like, yeah, I still want to keep oxygenation up in the water. And the easiest way to do that's going to be, let's just put some air stones in the sumps, right? But we can solve the warehouse problem of like them getting knocked off in the pole tanks where we're selling plants, and we kind of get the best of both worlds. So I'll just answer that email and then I'll be on to the other however many I said I have. So it's not always critical stuff. Sometimes it's just responding. Like one of the apps to go live on international shipping. They're asking like, oh, I'm sorry, was there an outstanding support issue? And it's like, yes, I've emailed you 6 times over this past week. I got off basically a Zoom call, and the goal was follow up with the thing I needed to do. I'll get that done in the hour. Well, now Monday was a week, and I sent a bunch of emails, still no responses. So now it's like I reached out to their initial contact thing of like, hey, I need help. Where's the guy I was working with? And now they're, so I'm going to have to write another email of like, here's the stuff that still needs to get done. Like, where are you guys? So it's just stuff like that. And you can do that. I can do that easily, obviously, while kind of keeping an eye on something else. If my water has nitrates or nitrites in it, can that be gassed off? Or am I stuck and need RO? I don't think you can gas it off, but honestly, I always look at that as a benefit. So, it's kind of like having some plant fertilizer in your water. Having real big planted tanks, or not real big, highly planted tanks, will consume most of that. And if you do smaller water changes, that helps too. So, if you have a lot of plants, you do 100% water change, and you add 100 parts per million nitrates or 5 parts per million nitrite, that could be harmful, right? But if you had the 100-gallon tank and you change 10 gallons of water, right, and you have 5 parts per million nitrite, well, now it'd only be 0.5, and the plants are gonna, gobble that up pretty quick, and that'd be seen as fertilizer. That's like a good thing. So it just changes the way I keep aquariums, and it doesn't. I don't see it as a bad thing though. It just changes the order in which I do things or how much I do things. Let's see. Oh, I was going to point out, by the way, like what you guys are doing, a lot of you guys are doing now where you're working and listening to the live stream, very similar to how I work, where I've kind of got an eye on maybe a game or someone else's live stream or something, and I'm working, where it's mostly like an 80-20, 80% on the work, 20% on something else. And yeah, it allows me to work longer periods. So instead of 8 hours locked in on something, it's more like 12, 14, 16 hours, 80-20 kind of work. All right. How's Elmer doing? What type of wild discus did you have in that top tank in the video or the semi-royal? That must be Dean's fish room? Top tank. I don't have any discs in a top tank. I have them in a pond at the moment. Elmer's doing well. Thriving, I would say. Holy cow, it's been over 3 years. I love the Fish Club Online. Great addition to membership. Well, thank you, Ginger. You've been around for a long time. And truth be told, I'll admit that you're one of our avatars. And if you don't know what that means, maybe you do. But it basically means you try to envision a type of customer and what are some of the qualities and what do they get enjoyment out of, and how do we get, if we're trying to get more of that customer. And so we remember when you sent us like the fruit basket and how you've been a supporter for a long time and how you came out to the AGA convention in Washington and all these different things. And so when I think about like, a good member, a good long-term customer, when I'm talking, because you've been around so long, so a lot of employees know your name, and your name is your name, right? So Ginger Graves as opposed to, Freaker by the speaker, right? So it's everyone in the company can kind of like, even if you're talking to someone who's packing, like, yeah, I've seen Ginger Graves' order, I think, before. And so normally it's like Jane Doe, or, you give a name to it. Like, so sometimes it'll be like, well, how do we make the memberships better? Or how are we going to, get more Ginger Graves, where the goal would be meaning long-term participants in, they like the videos we're doing, they're buying from us, they're a member, they seem to want to come to our events, they're fully integrated. How do we get more members that want to be fully integrated in with what we're doing? And I guess that's a compliment to you, and not that others aren't that way. Also, there's other names we have, like one of our avatars for retail customers is, he's not online, and I won't say his name, but he's got his own name. And so how do we get more of that person, right? And so it's meant to be a compliment, and we appreciate that you've been around so long and that you support us in so many ways and all of these things, and that we've gotten to know you a little bit more, and we've seen your life story kind of unfold in the chat and that kind of stuff over the years. And I really put value in getting to know you guys over a long period of time too. So and it's not easy to do. I won't learn everybody, but the longer you're around, the more we typically get to, oh yeah, I've dealt with that person in customer service. I've seen them in chat. I've seen, oh, they placed this order. Oh, they had a problem. All of those things. So Ginger got to feed Murphy too. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. So hopefully you guys all become Ginger Graves in our mind, and you fully integrate in, and you enjoy what we're doing, and you understand that. I think that one of the best things that happen for people that have been around a long time is they see that when something's not good, eventually it gets fixed. Like, we might not have the time to do it right now, or we might not see we're doing a bad job, but someone eventually will clue us in, and then we'll put money towards it to fix it. And doesn't always happen swiftly, but long term, we try to always make it right, try to do better. And so even crazy claims, usually they come true. We try to make it happen. It's not my live stream shirt. You're right. I wasn't sure if I was going to live stream today, so I just put on a normal shirt. I only wear those shirts mostly when I live stream, because I can tuck the microphone into it. Or if I'm going, it's not like a nice shirt, but I like, these are just cheap shirts that I wear because I know I might get fish poop on it or whatever I got to do today. So I don't wear, I just have a bunch of shirts of they're whatever shirts. And I'm wearing Costco sweatpants shorts. That's a very good point. Sometimes lifers get employed by the co-op too. That's a valid thing. Like, obviously we can't afford to hire everybody that is a long-term customer, but as we do get to know people, we have hired quite a few customers, especially in retail and all of that. Like, Robert was a customer, Candy was a customer, Thatch was a customer, my brain, Jordan at the warehouse was a customer, Haley was a customer, I think Elle was a customer. And this is gonna, once I stop, I know I'll get in trouble forgetting all of the other ones that have been great customers that have also worked for us. Nick, it's hard to Angelica. It's hard to ramble off when you have 35 employees. You're gonna start forgetting. Oh yeah, what about? Oh no. So to all the ones I forgot, no, there's no shade on you. It's purely want to move on with the show and not spend all day going, I know I'm missing one. Eric 25, been around for 38 months, been around a spell or two. Corey and the Co-op family really got me back into fish keeping. Thanks everyone. My retirement fish room is going to be epic. I hope so, buddy. I've always wanted you to know how funny the first 20 minutes or so of things I learned working in a fish store. Yeah. They, yeah. I did enjoy making, it was therapeutic to make that, but at the same time, I don't even like talking about the stereotypes because there's going to be people that identify with that and then they will feel worse for it. And I always focus on the negative of like everything because I just know that like if 5% of the people that watch that video, they're going, oh my gosh, that's me, they now feel worse for it. And I generally don't try to do anything where I'm going to make people sad and not, like, I only want everyone here to love aquariums more and get more enjoyment out of their own life with aquariums. And hopefully you accomplish that with buying stuff from us. That makes my life better. But even if you don't, the end goal is that you keep an aquarium one day longer. You get one more person into it. You know, all of those good things. And so that's why I don't like doing react videos. It's not that I wouldn't watch someone else do one. I want to spend my time going, can I make a product better? Can I make someone happier? And I realize that when you do content, you're gonna make a bunch of people happy, but I'm really trying to not make some people not happy, which is almost impossible to do. It probably is impossible to do, but I at least I can turn a blind eye to it and not willingly know I'm making some people happy at the expense of others. I try really hard not to do that. I realize that under a microscope you could do that with everything, like, well, isn't memberships that? Isn't this that? Isn't... Yeah, there is that whole evil part where we do have to generate money to pay employees to make things happen, but I try to skirt that line as much as possible and be true to just make the hobby better. Everything else will work itself out. So if you support that idea, consider becoming a member, hanging out with the rest of us, and, you know. Barbara Jackson's been around a long time, too. I have to pick up some fish bags tomorrow. What's my favorite way to keep bags open to fill? Anyone got any ideas? So what I like to do is I like to use a catch cup, whether ours or not, doesn't matter. You can use sometimes the right Tupperware bowl, but so I fill a bag with water and I get that sitting in there, and then I roll back the edges. Like if you've ever done it with like if you filled stuff in your kitchen, like Ziploc bags, like you got to put tomato sauce or something in it, right? You fold it back so that it holds its shape. I like to do that. I do that, and then I can get the fish in there, and then you just pull it back up, and now you tie it off. So, but yeah, a bowl sometimes, if it's too big, it tends to want to flop over. That's why, like a catch cup, that's why every store uses them, is they're vertical enough to keep the bag, as long as you keep the water below that, it won't flop over, right? And so you're kind of looking for a specific shape. If you already own a catch cup, I really love those. Put the bag in there, you got the water in there, you fold back the top, just one little fold, it'll stay nice and open for you. Oof, I have a free $500 turtle. I had to have ear surgery 3 days of owning her. That's intense. And I mean, I know turtles have ears, but you don't really think about it. That's kind of, and I don't even know what's involved in a turtle ear surgery. Yeah. These long-term members are making my new members feel like a slug. Oh man. I've been around a while, I've been benefiting and partaking for a long time. I've learned so much from Corey, very blessed. See, that's what I hate about anything you do. There's almost like someone that's going to feel alienated. And so I always try, like, the best thing you can do is start on the process. Like, inherently, when it comes back down to that money, it's like, well, technically a Ginger Graves at some level in a formula is better than a Bunny Viper, right? But we all know that they're both just humans. If you're in the same room, you might be both the coolest people I've ever met and all of that. And so I always try to keep that in my brain of like, these are all just numbers. We're talking about people here. And so I always try to keep that just, I'm aware. So just because you're newer to it doesn't mean you're any less. And just because you live outside the U.S. doesn't mean you're any less. There's all these things that, how do we provide benefits for everybody? How do we try and encourage everybody? And my encouragement for you is, hey, we were all there. At one point, I was a guy that had never kept a fish tank before. I didn't start keeping fish till I was like 23 years old. It's not a lifetime thing. And really, I would say everyone's goal that I wish for you is that you all end up with a circle of people that you feel like you belong, whether you've been there for 10 minutes or 10 years, whether it's a local club, an online chat like this, a comment section, a forum, doesn't matter. Somewhere where you can go and talk about what you want to talk about and the other people want to listen and they might have input or whatever you're looking to get out of that. Sometimes, I just want to go and get away from it all, and I go to a club meeting and I just want to sit there and go, I just wanted to learn. Didn't need to talk to anybody. Whatever it is that you're seeking, hopefully you find it, because the hobby can do it. Hobbies, I think, can do things that, work won't necessarily get that to you. Family doesn't necessarily get that to you. A hobby, what I like about a hobby is everyone, they choose that hobby. They choose to be a part of it. And you could leave it tomorrow, and that's your choice too. Family, commitment right there. That's the brine shrimp alarm. Do you guys have the brine shrimp alarm? 3 o'clock, you feed the brine shrimp, and you set a new brine shrimp. So, just so you know. That means I've been going for 3 hours, and literally things are stacking up for me to do. But I do hope that, unlike work or family or all these other groups we can be a part of, they're not always elective. Like, you're born into a family, most times you have to make money, so you have to go to a job. A hobby is one of the few places you can truly come and go as you please. You decide, do you want to be there? And if you don't enjoy aquatics, you don't have to be there. So that's what I like, that everyone that does show up to a chat like this or in-person event, you're all choosing to want to be there, and that's I think contagious, and it leads to something that you don't get in other facets of life, I feel like. So, yeah. Sue Morris says, I re-snailed it. My debit card expired. Yeah, that's right, re-snailed. Oh, man. What do I feed brine shrimp? Everything, basically every aquarium in my building will get brine shrimp. Because even big fish like to feed it. Now, I'm not going to be like, these African cichlids have to get all their food. Like, they still get dry food from the feeders every day, and they'll get frozen foods on top of that. But I believe that, like, bigger fish, they spawn more when you're feeding them brine shrimp because they know there's baby food around. And like ladybird's not going to eat it, but all the barbs in there would, the horse-faced loaches would. You might see, a ghost knife or something like that going after some if it went into their cave. So yeah, I basically, in a perfect world, when Corey's on his game, which is not as often as I'd like, they'd be eating at least 3 times a day. The reality is, most times, it's about 1.5 average, where it's like, oh, I didn't get a chance, so it was only auto feeder today. And then, so that's why I set an alarm, is my goal is to get back to brine shrimp every day, because it's a miracle food and it will change the way your fish keeping goes. And so even if you just have one tank, it's a game changer in my opinion. If you're actually watching your aquariums, you'll see, in my opinion, a big change happen after a month or so of feeding live baby brine every single day. So that's why I do it, and I know the difference. I know the difference in breeding and coloration and just the connection I have with my tank. And so I really want to get back to that, and I have to hold myself accountable of, I might be in the, might need to answer someone or might need to do stuff, and basically it's supposed to be right now. In fact, I will. I'm going to end the live stream because it's been 3 hours. I'd love to go longer, but I'm going to go feed that brine shrimp, and then I'm going to set up a new batch, and my alarm will go off again tomorrow. And so, even a guy like me, I make my whole living off of this. Even I got to hold myself honest and go, yeah, I want the results of feeding brine shrimp, but I don't always have the time to do it. So I'm going to make the time. I'm going to make it, it is important to me, so it's not a lack of importance. Make it a priority in my life. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Do I have any other? Let me answer these. Thank you, Corey, for keeping the hobbyist in the room when you make decisions. Also, the longer live stream is greatly appreciated. Yeah. Well, hopefully, everyone got a little bit of something they enjoyed in this show, and hopefully I find more time to do it. I'm gonna go feed brine shrimp. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the videos we're putting out. They will get better when we're allowed to travel more and get into more of the places we want to go. But for now, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to everyone that became a new member. Thanks to people that have already been members. Enjoy your discounts on the website. Enjoy the new benefits that will be coming as we develop them. And, thanks. Obviously, I glossed over it, but I should say, thank you to everyone that supports us by buying from us and sharing, hitting that like button. All of these things, they might seem inconsequential, but they all together, the community adds up to be a lot. So you might only spend $20, and yeah, our employees make at least $20 an hour, but everyone doing that makes them have health insurance. It makes them have an apartment or a home. It's feeding a family. It's doing all of these things, developing new products. It's, getting, if you bought something from us, you help pay to get a local fish store in Minnesota advertising for free from us, right? Like, we try to do all of these things, and we can all get caught up on, I don't like giving YouTube money, or I don't like doing this, or I don't like doing that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I try to just push everything I can. If I'm a part of something, how can we make that better? How can we give a shout out to Blake's Aquatics from Australia? How do we give a shout out to a Rico Stan? That kind of stuff. The Nano Aquarium guy. Everyone, I wish the best for. If you're listening to this, hopefully you're having a great day. Hopefully you have a good day with your tanks, and I'll see you next time. Watch the videos, and I'm gonna get to work. I gotta play with my fish too sometimes. So, bye-bye.